Oh, and
Mute microphone. It's already on. It's already on. Move.
Hi, hi, hi. Victor, can you hear me? Be my audio test person. Audio test, audio test. Can you hear me, big handsome, Mr. T-Lock? Perfect. Okay, thank you. We'll be starting in a second here.
There we go. Now you're outputting.
There we go. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Why do you hate us? No, we love you. We love you. You should be able to hear us now. Correct, Keeper. Perfect. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Return to form, return to stream. We got Thought Not Thursdays tonight. Table 1, Modern. We got Eric and Gabe, who came here together and, of course, immediately are playing against each other. Tad loud. Okay, give me a sec. How's it now? A little bit better? Perfect. Goodbye, Ian. All right, so unfortunately we don't have the script for live totals, but we thankfully, due to either Eric or Gabe, we have their life total counter on the top of the screen here, which you can see to some extent. But yeah, for those of you who might not know me, my name is Alex, and I am going to be your caster tonight. I have played Magic, once or twice in my life. We're playing some Modern tonight. If I had to guess, Eric is playing probably like Heliod combo stuff, which is usually, yeah, look at that. And Gabe is usually on Samwise Yawgmoth stuff. So this is a creature combo mirror, filling the board and trying to power through on some sort of turn 3 nightmare nonsense. Looks like Eric is taking the mulligan. I'm not sure who's on the play here, but I think it's Eric. I don't really know who's favored in this matchup necessarily. Yeah, that's the thing. I think Samwise combos off faster, and kind of more consistently. Samwise definitely has more dorks. They're on like Gilded Goose. They're on Birds of Paradise. They're on Delighted Halfling. They're on, I guess, technically Green Sun for Dried Arbor. I'm not sure how much of that Eric is on. Mr. Edge Cutie, hello. I think Eric's going to 5 here. This looks like one land, a bunch of little idiots, and like a Court of Calling. Oh no, he's keeping. Okay, so this looks like Verdant Catacombs, Court of Calling, Coco, 2 Court of Callings and a Coco and an Essence Warden. Yeah. So Gabe's starting with fetch into a Cauldron Familiar. So for those of you who don't know, I believe Gabe's combo, you have Samwise. Samwise is a 2-mana creature. Whenever a non-token creature you control enters, you create a food. Oh, it might be 2 lands, yeah. Whenever a non-token creature you control enters, you create a food token. So if you have a sack outlet and you have Cauldron Familiar, so Cauldron Familiar, of course, being drain when it enters, and you can sacrifice a food to return it from graveyard, that is just infinite drain. So Viscera Seer, Carrion Feeder get you there. But the deck also just benefits from being a Golgari X mid-range, food pile of stuff, which is kind of both their game plans. They're both doing creature combo stuff that also just happens to kind of be okay at doing a little mid-range plan. Marionette Apprentice. So Gabe's coming in with a cat, but he's got a Marionette Apprentice, which I assume he is fabricating for a 1/1. Marionette Apprentice is whenever a creature you control dies, I think creature or artifact you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. It's not a drain, so it doesn't, go off in that sense like Blood Aris, but good value and makes a body, which is nice. Eric's fetching on end step for a Lush Portico. The trifecta. Hell yeah. So Eric surveilled. Looks like he kept another Verdant on top. If he did have the 2 Verdants, so now he's on 3 Verdants in hand, but this is an Essence Warden. Yeah, exactly. Second land. Yeah, I wouldn't feel super good if I was in Eric's spot. He's got a Sylvan Safekeeper in hand by the looks of it, which he could play. I wouldn't be feeling too good if I were Eric here. I mean, Gabe can definitely just win this turn. Is this Grist? Ranger Captain. So I actually wasn't playing this last time I played against him, but Ranger Captain's pretty good in this list. It gets to search up a 1-drop or 1-drop or less from your deck. So you can search for Cauldron Familiar, you can search for Viscera Seer or one of your sack outlets. He's finding the Viscera Seer. I'd be pretty worried if I were Eric. And also, so Gabe plays Court of Calling. Oh, the crosshatch thing? Yeah, let me see if I can do that. I'll pretend just for you, Jesse, that I am technologically capable of doing that. Unsure. I'll check with Mike after this round. You're going to be looking through the grid for now, though. Living the Tron life. So Gabe plays Chord in the deck. So he can't Chord for anything right now. He doesn't have any mana open, and none of these creatures are green. So Eric also can't combo this turn, though. It's like 4 mana or a Coco, so because he needs to hit Heliod and Spike Feeder. But he also plays Amalia. So if he's able to get to Amalia, which I don't think he can do this turn either, but if he can do that next turn, he can at least clear the board. But right now, Gabe, I would say, has a pretty commanding lead. And also, Gabe can also sack this Ranger Captain at any time to pseudo-silence Eric out of the turn. Wow, says Gabe. So Heliod's on the battlefield. Of course, he won't gain the life because Heliod is not currently a creature, so Essence Warden doesn't see that. Yeah, so... Okay. So Gabe is attempting to win right now. Eric's responding. He's Samwise enters. He gets a life from Essence Warden. He puts a counter with Heliod onto the Essence Warden. I don't really know what he could have. Is Solitude, I guess. I suspect Eric's just dead here, though. Yeah, all right. That's game 1 to Gabe. Has the combo, of course. He's got the Samwise, he's got the cat, and he's got the Viscera Seer. Eric is dead. Uh-oh. Dropping cards all over the place. Ooh, hold up. I'm going to finagle around a little bit. See if I can set scores on here. I don't think I can, though. Table 2. What if I do this? Oh, that's a little sus. We won't do that. How are you, Jesse? Am I going to see you tomorrow? For some first post-Avatar release standard? Fair enough. I will see you when you return. So we're in some sideboarding here. I'm not sure what Eric brings in. I haven't looked through Eric's list specifically. I imagine things like removal comes in, obviously. December 15th, back in town. I'd love to get you in for a cube at some point when you're back in. Oh, till the new year. Oh, my lord. Oh, yeah. You're definitely Cuban. I know we are also doing a Legacy, Interior Legacies monthly event. Will be after that for December. So you should be able to make that one, I would hope. I will bully you if you don't. Working. That's fair. How else would you be able to afford to buy Magic the Gathering cards, Jesse? Love it too, pal. I like how Gabe has the Yawgmoth. I don't know how many Yogs he's on in the list anymore. It used to be kind of full Yawgmoth, but the decks have shifted to mostly just being like Sam with occasionally a Yawgmoth. So it's gotten a little less sincere in that regard, but they're discussing how interesting the creature combo of Mirror is in very sarcastic terms. We're talking about how Gabe can win on turn 2. I suppose that's probably true. So you could go turn 1, Viscera Seer, you go turn 1, Dork. I gotta think about this. So Eric's thought seizing Gabe. So reveals a Swamp, a Malevolent Rumble, a Young Wolf, a Samwise, a Windswept Heath, Court of Calling, and Thoughtseize of his own. We're taking the Sam. Seems reasonable. I think that's kind of the only option in the hand. I don't know what's in Eric's hand, but I guess there's like some amount of consideration to take the Thoughtseize on the other side, but most of the time I would just take the combo piece here. Especially because the hand's like pretty anemic without that, although Malevolent Rumble is a pretty messed up magic card sometimes. So Gabe draws for turn. Thoughtseize is back. We have Amalia, we have Prosperous Innkeeper, and we got 3 lands. So Amalia in the bin, of course. Prosperous Innkeeper isn't exactly a threat in its own terms. Shipping the turn back. 15 to 18 right now. Prosperous Innkeeper enters, comes with a treasure, of course, and gains 1 life, I believe, from the treasure entering. I think Prosperous Innkeeper gains a life off of artifacts as well. Yo, yo, yo. Yes, Gabe, you do have to fetch first. Okay, so Gabe fetches here. He's going to find Temple Garden. He's going to cast his Malevolent Rumble. So 4 cards can be going to the bin here in a second, and he's going to choose a he's going to choose a permanent to put into hand, I believe. Choose a permanent from among those cards, put it in your hand, and make a 0/1 Scion that sacrifices for a mana. So gets a spawn. And then top 4 going to the bin. So we have Abrupt Decay, Ranger Captain, Shifting Woodland, and what looks like a Lush Portico. I assume the Abrupt Decays came in post side, which is pretty good in the matchup. Gabe says he needs a land, unfortunately, so the Shifting Woodland is going to be the selection here. So his hand currently is Woodland, Young Wolf, and Court of Calling. Eric untaps, plays a Windswept Heath, getting in there. No blocks from the Scion. That's it. Shipping the turn back. I'm not sure what's in Eric's hand right now currently, so don't know if he's holding anything up. Haven't seen anything from the side so far except the Thoughtseize, I would imagine. Here comes Sam. It's pretty good top deck. So fetch on end step. We're gonna do some surveilling. Get a Lush Portico. What do we see on top? What do we see on top? Maybe a little bit worried if I'm Eric. I'm trying to get this Sam off the board pretty quickly here. Gabe's untapping with Sam, a fair amount of mana and a cord, which is pretty threatening. So we bin the Surveil land off the Surveil land. Drew, what is that card? Is that Collected Company? So he's got Prismatic Ending in hand, which I assume he's going to cast this turn. I think Pending probably came in from the side. I think we're going to exile the Samwise here if I had to guess. Yeah. So Prismatic Ending on the Samwise. Gabe can't do much about that, so I imagine that's going to exile. And then we're coming in with the Innkeeper. Innkeeper's going all the way. 13 more hits. Just a little guy. I love this little Secret Lair art of that Innkeeper. Secret Lair prize, I suppose. So we have, to confirm, let's see, we have... We have 10 people tonight. It's a quieter night. We've got a bunch of folks at the regional championship in Calgary. A bunch of our modern homies competing out there, which will start tomorrow, I believe. I guess Saturday is the first actual event day. Hell yeah, sounds good, Jesse. But we are pretty thankful to, still have 10 people tonight for Modern when so many people are out of town, given that, there's a lot of struggle to fire Modern sometimes in the past while for some people. We're very happy to have a community that can still have pretty prosperous Modern events, even when a bunch of our population is missing due to another event. Shout out the Kamloops gaming community. They were talking about how the Thoughtseize bug is real. Thoughtseizing Gabe's Samwise, of course, on turn 1, followed by Gabe drawing it 2 turns later. Not the exact Magic Online Thoughtseize bug, but it's pretty close. So Gabe has Cord here. He can Cord right now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total. Yeah, Sam has an infinite combo. So if you have Cauldron Familiar on the board, the cat that when it enters, it drains them 1. And whenever, or you can also sack a food to bring it back from the graveyard. So if you have Cauldron Familiar, you have Samwise, who makes a food when a non-token creature enters. So of course, the cat generates its own food. And then if you have a Sacrifice Outlet, whether that be Carrion Feeder, Viscera Seer, etc., then that, of course, is a loop that gets to drain your opponent out. It helps that the deck also just plays a lot of kind of redundant pieces, Malevolent Rumbles, Court of Callings, things that find all your pieces, and just like plays a pretty medium mid-range plan of Griss and this is end step Court of Calling. All right. Gabe slaps all the cards, turns them sideways. So recording for Sephiroth. Oh my lord. Okay, so Sephiroth, Fabled Soldiers on the battlefield. So when it enters or attacks, I believe, Gabe gets to sacrifice another creature. And if he does, he drains his opponent 1. Or if he does, he draws a card. But then whenever his creatures die, he drains his opponent 1. And if it's the 4th time that's resolved in a turn, Sephiroth transforms into a big silly flyer, and the opponent gets an emblem, or sorry, Gabe gets an emblem that drains his opponent whenever a creature dies. Yeah, Gabe got me with this one a few weeks back. I did not know that Sephiroth generated an emblem. Very strange. So here's Sephiroth. I think we sacked the young wolf and it came back with a counter. Yeah. Do 2 Undying. 2 mana Rumble. Eric says to Gabe, this card could be anything. My 1 card in hand could be anything. Which kind of leads me to believe it's nothing, but we're going to find out. So Malevolent Rumble sees a bunch of lands, a Samwise, and something else he picked up, which I missed. No cat in the yard yet, I think, which is pretty relevant here. Gabe, of course, is at quite a bit of food right now. It's hard to tell. Those dice are very small. So going to combat, Sephiroth attacks. We're sacking the Eldrazi spawn. So it's going to drain Eric for 1. They move their life total thing. 1 second. I believe Eric is at 12 currently. I'm going to get Mike to pop open the big life total dice for the next match for sure. All right, so here comes the cat returning. Yeah, where is this at? Where am I? I think this is in the library. Yeah, okay. I accidentally pulled that out. Oh, this is a Birthing Ritual trigger. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, Birthing Ritual, at the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature, you can look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may sacrifice a creature you control and put one of those creatures from the top 7 onto the battlefield if it costs 1 greater than the sacrifice creature or less. So it's kind of a play on Birthing Pod from back in the days, which the court is currently banned in Modern. Undeservingly, if you ask me. Yeah, so Eric, I assume, has a pretty anemic hand. If he draws Collected Company, he could still win the game. He could just... He's Court of Calling. Eric says he didn't hit a land, but it doesn't save him. Yeah, I'm not sure what he could cord for here that would save him. I don't think he has a lot of creature hate pieces. Nope. Board state disaster. Yeah, professional magic, says Eric. True. So I don't know if Eric brought anything like, a Clarion Conqueror or something to kind of save him from the combo. I highly doubt it. I think that kind of interrupts too much of his own deck. So he's thinking here with this Court of Calling. He's got to be dead if I had to guess on his following turn here. Yeah, Gabe just has 1,000 cards in hand. The Shifting Woodland probably has Delirium, so you can turn this into some sack outlet if he's got one in the yard, which he might, but I'm not too confident on. But he's just got such a board state that's just way more powerful than Eric's current board state, and the Sephiroth is beating him up good. And Gabe just drew Court of Calling, so Eric says, you got it? Okay, so Court of Calling on the stack from Gabe, in which Eric is responding with his own Court of Calling. So Eric is courting in response with the answer being uncertain on Eric's side too. So he's gonna find out. Dina, I see. Bird's Paradise definitely does not solve the problem here. I don't see a lot of things that can answer. So you can get endurance, which yeah. Yeah. Even if he tries to endurance Gabe to put all these cards in the bottom of his library, Gabe can just bring back the Cauldron Familiar multiple times in response with so many food tokens. I think that will do it. All right. So match 1 goes to Gabe. Gabe, of course, on Sam combo is now 2-0. Well, 2-0 in this match, 1-0 in the day. They, of course, are very close friends, so they're chatting right now. Yeah, Gabe's deck, I think, is just like a little bit better overall. The deck's more consistent. It kind of plays through hate a lot stronger than Eric's does. I like Eric's deck quite a bit, too. I've played a lot of Heliod in my time. It's really, really fun and really good against certain strategies, but I imagine it's probably a lot worse in the creature combo mirror. Famous Magic the Gathering player, character Sephiroth, they say. Yeah. I remember from the Weatherlight back in the day in old Magic lore when Miri and Squee and the gang are all fighting against Grevin, all these characters from Magic's history, and of course they also had to fight against Sephiroth. Iconic moment in Magic history. I often think, what's the better villain in Magic history? Is it Yawgmoth or is it Firelord Ozai? They're pretty close. So we still got, let's see, everyone else currently in the round. Pretty fast match by them, so they're cleared out, but we still got four other games being played. I'm interested to see what some of the other decks are today. I know we got a little bit of Tron. I know we got a little bit of Necro. A little bit of Boros, probably. A little bit of taxes-related shenanigans. People in the shop currently are excited about something. I believe right now we have some players also doing their Commander League currently, which is on its last week of official play before the catch-up week that we're having, which has been very, very fun. We will be doing that eventually down the line, so a third season of our Commander League, which will be such a blast. We have quite a bit of a prize pool in this one, which is going to come to close pretty shortly here, but I think the first place winner gets to select the foiled out Final Fantasy Commander decks. And that's been a blast. I don't play a lot of Commander myself these days, but playing with the right people is always a really, really good time. So, oh yeah, here come the big dice. There we go. Mike's doing magic tricks. Yep. Perfect. I am also in the Commander League for this season, which is fun because I don't get a lot of a chance to play Commander these days. I'm more of a 60-card person, of course, but I got the Caesar precon. Speaking of, characters from Magic's history, of course, Caesar from Fallout. When I think of iconic places in the Magic Sphere universe, I think of New Vegas, first and foremost. Well. Hello. Surprised to not see you here today, but I think you had mentioned something about possibly picking up a little furry friend today for the first time or sometime soon. We need Caesar from Planet of the Apes. That's a really good point. Yeah, I would actually like to have my Commander mirror of Caesar from Fallout versus Caesar from Planet of the Apes. Got your furry friend. Oh, exciting! How's that going? Are they a little scaredy cat currently? Having been to your place, he's just hanging out in the room, his own little room. Having been to your place now, Floppy, I mean, you have such a good space for a cat. Big shy boy. Renato, thank you for the follow. Hello, hello. We're just in between rounds right now, just having finished match 1. Samwise having taken down Heliod. Modern's good. We just had the friend killing mirror, Eric and Gabe on table 1. Gabe 2-0ing Eric on Samwise, which has to just be the worst possible match to play. I mean, creature combo mirrors are just, I put my game object on the field. You put your game object on the field. I put more game objects on the field than you do, so I win. I've played a lot of the Heliod mirror back in the day, and it was a nightmare. When Heliod was very, very popular in Modern, probably right before Modern Horizons 2. And people were siding in, the friend team kill, yeah. People were siding in cards like Deicide. Theros banger from back in the day. Oh, how Modern has changed since then. Now you get to just solve all your problems with Wrath of the Skies and Kozilek's commands and Consign to Memories. Don't have to play things like Deicide and, Terminate. As much as I know you miss casting Terminate. How old is the cat you picked up? Is it younger or is it is he a little middle-aged cat or? $16 months, baby. So we got 10 folks here right now today. Of course, we are missing a fair amount of folks to the regional championship. Got some gamers out there who I imagine are probably arrived in Calgary by now. I think there's 4 or 5 of them, and a few people out of town as well. I think we've got, I mean 10 with a bunch of folks missing is just like so crazy. I don't know. I've been to plenty of stores in my time, especially post-COVID, when some of the formats were struggling to fire in paper, where Modern has been, 4 people doesn't fire for a week. And we're just so lucky here that we, on our quieter days have 10 people, which is just so crazy. 10 people is like the lowest number I remember for quite a while for Modern, and that's like a pretty happy number I'm gonna see for a low number, given that we've had, multiple 30s and 26s and 18s. What else can I say except you're welcome? Yeah. What, you saying you had something to do with that a little bit? Mr. Store Owner, perhaps, maybe? Who was going to give me a copy of Retrofitter Foundry from the Secret Lair from my Vintage Cube? Right? Mm-hmm. Before I decided to cast today, I was going to play some absolute nonsense in Modern today. I wanted to cast Aang. I don't even remember what this card's called. Aang at the Crossroads, I believe. Opening them with Cat, I was like, yeah, there's probably going to be a few of those that go into Luxcube. Yep. Me, nonsense. All I do is nonsense. No retro photo for me. I'm so hurt. Okay, hold up. I want to see if I can figure out how to pull a card up on the spell table. Cards. Hang at the Crossroads. Okay, I'm learning technology. Now, how do I pop this onto the screen? Not sure. I've been thinking of building Tifa for Legacy. Thoughts? This is Cat, by the way. I figured, yeah, nobody bullies me like you do. Tifa and Legacy is pretty sick. I mean, I've seen a few lists that are like, were you thinking just like full on landfall stuff, or are you thinking like Infect? Because I know Infect. There's been some like Infect lists that will play Tifa because she functions almost the same as like a Glistener Elf half the time with the same spells, given just like the amount of damage you're pushing through. Oh, a Scythe Cat. Okay, I'm into that. I don't know if you have Scythe Cat Cubs, but I did just print a massive, big ol' list of some Proxy Legacy stuff for our monthly proxy Interior Legacy event, which is going to be happening this next weekend. And then obviously, of course, I think December 20th will be the next one. But I do love Tifa. You get to play like Scythe Cat, Crop Rotation. I wonder if you're supposed to play like, what's the, like maybe Sylvan Safekeeper. You get to play that silly land from Modern Horizons 3. What's the Naruto land? Talon Gates of Madara, that's what it is. Which is also kind of sick in that deck. I mean, Scythe Cat Cub's such a banger. That card's so crazy. I only recently learned that it was like $65. I mean, Jumpstart printing, I suppose, will do that. I'm going to change this really quick. So I'll go... Waiting... I'll go... match too soon. Whoop. Berserk, Elder Spirit Guide, yeah. I mean, I'm just a sucker for casting Berserk. That card's so much fun. Okay, we'll do this. Oh, wait. Starting soon. Match to... I'm a professional streamer. There we go. Elder Spirit Guide, yeah. Play stuff like that. You play... Oh, wait. How many types is Tifa? That's the question. Does she benefit from playing Embiggen? Tifa Martial Artist? Is that her thing? No, that's the other one. Tifa MTG. Tifa is a human monk. Legendary human monk. Legendary creature human monk. So she gets +4 from Embiggen. Once Upon a Time. Yeah, that deck probably benefits from Once Upon a Time quite a bit. I mean, any of the decks that play like pretty low threats. Like you want to find Tifa all the time. You probably play Green Sun. Yeah, I think so. I think you almost for sure play Green Sun because you get to like Green Sun for Dryad Arbor for a Tifa trigger is nice, but it also just finds you all your threats. I wonder if it's too cute, but you could also like you could consider playing some amount of like Merit Lage Dark Depths. Just because you're playing Crop Pro anyways. Might be a little too lost in the sauce, but we need a green Vampire Hex Mage. That's what we need. I got the joy of playing, we went to Connection Games down in Vancouver area, lovely little place, where we played their memorial event they had for Legacy, and I got to watch somebody playing like Selesnya Depths, and they were playing like main board Veil of Summers. They were playing Lumbering Mega Sloth, which is one of the cards of all time. And their opponent just looked completely lost in the sauce of what was going on in front of them. But if I were playing Legacy and I was playing, Reanimator or anything blue, and my opponent got me with main board Veil of Summer, I'd be pretty bummed. I'm not too sure currently. I know we'll have... So we have this creature combo mirror we just had. We have Tron in the room. We probably have some aggro stuff in the room. We have what I would assume is a Blink list. Or it might be Neoform. If I'm guessing my names at least. Reclaimer? Yeah. Yeah, Reclaimer is probably worth the slot. Reclaimer. Oh, I'd have to think about what else you can put in there. Oh, I want to see how am I able to pop stuff up on the screen for cards here? I'll figure that after. Cheeky little Minsc and Boo. Maybe. I mean, Minsc is maybe like a little slow in what you're trying to do anyways. You could definitely play like, if you wanted like a good sideboard card or even like one main board for like, quote unquote for the grindy matchup, you could play an amount of like Sylvan libraries are pretty good. But of course you also get to play like Veil in the sideboard. Something like Dismember, of course. It's not in green, but I always really liked in the depths list, which is just so far gone from what we're talking about here. But there's this 3-mana creature from Modern Horizons 3 Commander that when you cast it, you remove all counters from a permanent, and then your next spell costs 1 colorless for each counter removed this way, I believe. So you can go like Dark Depths, land, Lotus Petal or something, or Dark Depths, Lotus Petal, or Urborg, whatever. Cast it, remove all 10 counters, make Merit Lage, and then using that 10 reduction mana, you can just like cast an Ulamog or something. And I've seen a few lists like that. They seem a little ambitious, but they do look fun. I am nothing if not a fan of absolute legacy nonsense. I am the most hurt individual by the banning of attractions. Oh, yeah. Definitely play that. I love that card. It probably is, yeah. Its only downside is that it doesn't pump, but also, like, it's just front-loaded with so much stuff that barely matters. It's like a kill spell. I think it gives reach. I don't remember, but I think it just randomly gives reach as well. I guess, Legolas do be having a bow. So, I think it's reach, it untaps, gives it hexproof. I don't think it gives indestructible, I don't remember, but I know it has split second. That card's pretty messed up. One of the secret reach cards of all time. Main deck Teague. That seems worse than Green Sun Zenith, but hey, you just Green Sun Zenith for the Teague, and then you don't you don't need to cast another one. Teague is pretty good in Legacy recently. I had a really bad moment at the aforementioned event I was talking about where I was playing Zoo, and my opponent played a Teague, and my hand was like Leyline Binding, Force of Will, Lorien Revealed or something. It was just like 16 spells that I couldn't cast. I got soloed by this little dad-looking guy. The unbeatable Teague. I haven't committed to what I'm playing at our next proxy legacy, which will be, let me confirm. Let's see. Today is the 20th. So the next Interior Legacy X The Game Hub Proxy Legacy event will be on Saturday the 29th, I believe. Yeah, you strike me as a collector, for sure. I want to confirm that date's correct. It might be the 30th. Let's see. 29th is Legacy, yeah. So a week this Saturday, so the 29th of November at the Game Hub, we will be doing proxy-friendly Legacy. It's probably 2 p.m. It's a blast, really good time. We got a lot of people that are interested in that. Our events so far have been such a blast. Jeffrey, who is kind of our organizer for that, usually puts in some prize stuff of his own. He'll have like a door prize of a collector booster, which of course Phil Lee was the one who got it last time. RP Nadu. Peace isn't really what I wish upon Nadu, but I don't collect anything. Oh, I collect everything. That's not true. I collect copies of Mirkwood Bats. I don't remember how that started, but if anyone needs Mirkwood Bats and there aren't any at the Game Hub, just let me know because I can bring them in because I do have 194 copies. The Secret Lair Zozu flavor text is incredible. His cleverness is well regarded among the Aki, but most his jokes are just variations of yeah, that's pretty good. All right, we got match 2 up here. Let's find out. Ooh, is this some T-Hams? We got T-Hams at table 1. This definitely looks like our boy T-Hams and Jeffrey, speaking of. All right, let me get these names updated here. So on the left here, we got Tom. Now we're gonna put this the right way. T-Hams. We got our boy T-Hams on the left, and of course on the right, we got Jeff. All right. So if I had to guess here, Thomas changes up his list pretty often. Plays a lot of little different stuff. He plays Merfolk, plays Infect, plays Slivers. I think last Legacy he played Thralls just, a rogues gallery, a who's who of cards from Fallen Empires, which was certainly a list. I enjoyed seeing that one. He was really stoked about it. Dude is a legend. Yeah, we love T. Hams. A cherished member of the Kamloops and Game Hub community for sure. So Jeffrey, if I had to guess, speaking of Jeffrey, our legacy organizer. Why is it Jeff comes to Modern when I can't make it? Yeah, he plans that actually, If I had to guess, Jeffrey's playing his regular here, which is just some Necro Dominance, Shieldred nonsense stuff. Sometimes he'll play the Nourishing Shoal variant. I don't think he's been on it for a bit, though, so... If I had to guess, Thomas is just playing Merfolk by the island sleeves, but I'm not going to let myself get baited by the sleeve throw here, so we'll find out. So I think Jeffrey's on the play they mentioned here. Oh, hi, Jeffrey. No, they're saying hello to me, and they referred to me as the guy, and Jeffrey said that he's not the guy. And I'd like to confirm that I am actually the guy. I am the guy from Spy Kids 3, played by Elijah Wood. That was actually me. So they got it right on the first time. So Jeffrey's keeping here. Should I see a Saga in hand? What is this? I'm not sure what he's playing here. Pithy Needle? Pithy Needle Necrogoyf. I wonder if this is possibly that. Yeah, this might be like the Mono Black Eldrazi list. This might also just be Jeffrey Mono Black, stuff. Tell Jeffrey that he is also the guy. Jeffrey is also the guy. Yeah, Jeffrey, I mean, I could say this about a lot of members of the Game Hub community, but we're just so lucky to have so many just incredibly lovely, incredibly caring people who just would give you the shirt off their back if it made events fire and people have a good time. And yeah, just fantastic people. Except you, yeah. Yeah, you are in fact confirmed cringe. Yeah. But you're less cringe now because you have a cute cat. Okay, this is definitely looking like Merfolk. Yeah, so Island and Aether Vial. Nothing can get more iconic for Merfolk here. So Jeffrey we got a Nethergoyf in hand, we got a Swamp, we got an Urza's Saga. We got something that's really foily. Almost looks like a Fatal Push, maybe. Could be Slivers, you are correct. Alright, we've got a 0-1 on the battlefield. Is he going to play the second? I think he has two. We get two 0-1s? No way. Okay, Pithy Needle in the blind. Well, actually, he's not in the blind. He's just going to name Aether Vial here, I imagine. They're just talking about the function of Aether Vial in the stack. So Thomas does have to counter it if he wants to before it resolves. If he doesn't know what he's going to name, I imagine Jeffrey obviously will just name Aether Vial here. But yeah, Pithy Needle is getting countered by the Force of Negation. It'll end up in exile. So it won't even buff the Nethergoyf. So sad. Counter on Aether Vial on the upkeep here. We still have an island. This could still be mono blue slivers. Oh my god, it's still all... Okay, I don't think it's mono blue slivers. So we got a Rishadan Dockhand from MH2. Banger. Didn't see a lot of play. Oh, we're just doing a little backup here. Thomas meant to activate Aether Vial. Fair enough. Mono black. Or mono blue shapeshifters, or mono black shapeshifters, perhaps. So Rishadan Dockhand, a little play on Rishadan Port. So just a Merfolk. It has Island Walk. I think it's a 1/2. And it can be tapped for 2 to tap a land. Maybe tap for 1. I'm going to confirm. Rishadan Dockhand. All right, so Saga on the battlefield. So Rishadan Dockhand is in fact 1/2. It's 1 to tap. So it is just the same activated ability as a Rishadan Port. So we have a we have a Urza Saga on the field from Jeffrey, and then a Fatal Push targeting the Dockhand. Print Risk Report into Modern, it's fine. I mean, you're mostly memeing probably, but also it's like, you're kind of right. It's probably not even that bad. I don't know if Modern needs that card, but I think on average people in Modern are a little afraid of some cards that they remember being horrifying in their past, and And Rashadinport is probably not nearly as bad as, people would remember for the format, but this is the same format where people are too scared to unban, Birthing Pod, which is unplayable. I play the cringe decks. Yeah, you have put a Quantum Riddler on this deck before, but that's more of a hero deck than anybody, casting perhaps a Amulet of Vigor, I would say, but, that might be personal bias. So, Bowmaster's on the stack. Making an orc. Oh, God, hold up. I want to see if I can zoom into this. Do I even know how to zoom on this? I don't. I'm really bad at technology. Well, we have an orc on the battlefield. An orc army on the battlefield. Looks like Thomas wants to do something before combat here. Yeah. So this is the beginning of combat. Thomas is activating Aether Vial. This is going to be the Mono orcs. Yeah, this is orc tribal. So we're activating Aether Vial. Is this going to be the Flood Pits Drowner? Uncounterable Flood Pits Drowner. So Flood Pits Drowner, kind of the upgrade to the that Ixalan merfolk from back in the day, more or less. But here's the battlefield. You tap a creature an opponent controls. You put a stun counter on it, and then it has Vigilance. This merfolk, it's a 2/1, and then you can pay 2 mana, I believe, to tap the Flood Pits Drowner to shuffle it and a stun countered creature into their libraries. Jeff will be fatal pushing the Flood Pits Drowner before attackers anyways, but of course the Goyf is stunned down now, so DMs is taking 2 here, down to 16. Aether Vial is going up. So Vial to 2 and Vial to 3. It's always weird in these spots where you have no cards in hand, you have to evaluate whether you or not you want to put the counters up. Oh my lord. Okay, so yeah, so both the players do know the rule changing on this. So this is a little bit of a weird one. So with Final Fantasy, the rule changes to how Blood Moon and effects similar affect Urza Saga. So Urza Saga, now that Harbinger of the Seas or Tides or whatever it's called, is on the battlefield. Urza Saga will be an island, but it does still have the given ability from the previous abilities. So it has tap for a colorless and it has 2 mana tap, make a construct. So this is an island that won't tick up any further, at least until the merfolk is gone. So you won't get to the ability to search, but it is now just an island that lets him pay 2 mana to activate to make a construct. So that's still pretty bad for Thomas, I would say. But I think Thomas is specifically worried about what might have come out of the Saga search. I don't really know what Jeffrey's targets are. I mean, maybe he's afraid of something like Shadow Spear, which is reasonable. Yeah, they power crept Island, yeah. This 2/2 merfolk is stonewalling this ragtag group of 1/1s. Although Jeffrey's going to start having this engine be online pretty soon. He's going to make a construct on in step and then be able to attack with a 2/2 and just start making an army of these things. Yep, in step, here comes a construct. Urza busy at work. Yep, currently a 1/1. Oh, Jeffrey's. I wish I was more competent at zooming in on this, because I would love to zoom in on Jeffrey's construct here. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna tinker. We are doing 4 rounds. Yep. Thomas says he hates the new rule for Saga. I mean, hey man, you put it on the battlefield, you know. So we're going to combat here. We're attacking with the construct, and we're attacking with this Nethergoyf, which is a 1/2. The way that Jeffrey worded this makes it sound like he immediately regretted attacking with this Nethergoyf. Oh, is this still before combat? Yeah, okay. So, Vial activated. We got a Silvergill Adept coming in. We're drawing a card. All right, so ETB, we're picking up a card. Oh, God. And the Bowmaster is going to trigger here from the Silvergill, which is going to just take the Silvergill with it and make the Orc a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is in attackers. No, correct. They're just figuring out how blocking works here. Thomas won't get the chance to block with the Silvergill Adept because he's going to die with all these triggers before we ever move to blockers because this is still in attackers. Magic's complicated, just figuring it all out. Fair enough. All right, so we're moving to blocks here. We have a Nethergoyf coming in, which I believe is still a 1/2, and then a 3/3 construct because we have 2 constructs and a Mishra's Bauble on the battlefield. Yeah, I'm not sure I would have played the Saga, or sorry, I would have played the Harbinger. I don't know what's more of a worry. So this Saga will have a counter. I suspect we're about to get a judge question here. So this Saga is going to enter with a counter. It just won't ever get increased counters until the Harbinger leaves. Okay, hold up. I'm gonna see if I text the front table here if they get it fast enough. Okay, they're coming out. We're gonna see if they come all the way into the booth to ask this question, but I'm not gonna step out at least this second because I'm sure somebody might be able to. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it will. So they're currently trying to figure out what happens with the fact that there is a moon effect on the battlefield and the Saga's entering with the new rule changes. So what's going to happen here is the Saga's going to enter. It's going to get its first counter because it's a Saga. It's going to enter and get that first one, but it will never increase until the Harbinger leaves. We're going to see if we can resolve that without me stepping out, but I will probably have to step out. All right, they're coming here. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's say they resolved it. All right. So continuing with this game. So we have a second Saga on the battlefield, which is currently just an island. No abilities, minus tap for a blue. So Thomas is untapping here. We drew a Force Negation, which I imagine is pretty... Force Negation, which I imagine is pretty close to the worst draw in the deck here. And a Mutavault, which is also an island currently. Would not be feeling too good if I were Thomas here. I don't really know what he needs to draw. He's in this awkward spot now where you almost want to block with the Harbinger to get these Sagas off the battlefield, but it's so late in the process that the damage has kind of been done. Yeah, it's looking tough. He needs to draw... I don't even know. I don't think he's playing anything like Dress Down in the main, so that's all irrelevant. I think this game is pretty close to a close here, though. So I'm going to take a second here, now that we're what I mentioned is pretty close to the end of this game. at least in game one for this match, to talk about the upcoming events we got here at the Game Hub for you lovely folks in this lovely place here. So this coming weekend, this Sunday, we have our first day of our sealed event for Avatar. Our sealed league, in fact, which I'm really excited about because I'm a big fan of League. So this Saturday at... Oh, time for you. Or sorry, this Sunday. There we go. Could have been more prepared for this. There we go. There we go. God, I hope you're not listening right now, Garen, because this would be embarrassing for me. Yes, shush. Okay, so starting November 23rd, so this Sunday at 2 p.m., we have a start for our sealed league for Avatar. So everyone is going to get what I would imagine is something like 6 packs, but I'll confirm. Stop bullying me. Yeah, so you're going to get some packs of Avatar, you're going to make a sealed deck out of it, and then you're going to play opponents who are in the league, and then every subsequent week while we're still in the league, you can add packs into the thing, as is league, and upgrade your deck from there. And you can pick up prizes, promos, you can pick up a little Avatar art thing, which is neat. Yeah, 1 additional play booster per week. This is the worst ad post of all time, but Mike is better at it than I am. And outside of that, we have Standard tomorrow, which will be a blast as we return to Standard the first time post-Avatar. I'm really excited to play some Nightmare stuff. Probably going to play some allies. Represent a certain someone who is a modern ally gamer. But Avatar has so many allies in Standard right now, which is just like kind of the most, straight into format push archetype for the set, which is going to be a blast. Then, of course, Saturday at 6:30 p.m., which Floppy is roasting me about, we have our Riftbound Nexus Nights, which I'm very, very excited for. Currently, every Saturday at 6:30. Time might change in the future. 6:30 is pretty late in the day, but that is currently what we're doing. And you can join in for $5. A little bit of store credit as a prize for the top X people, depending on the turnout. And everyone gets a Nexus Night promos pack, which is really exciting because you can pull the GG Easy Teemo. That is a cute and ridiculously expensive little guy. Riftbound's been a blast, so I'm really enjoying our weeklies. I'm a Misfortune gamer. You open cards you needed for your list. Hell yeah. So then, also, coming up next... Oh, boy, that's on the 20th? Oh, we might actually have to reschedule Legacy in December. I didn't realize this was on the 20th. So on the 20th of December, we're going to have our Xmas Sealed event, which is going to be amazing. For those of you who might have been there last year for the Halloween or Christmas event, where we had a Chaos Sealed. Unfortunately, we didn't do Halloween this year. WotC was kind enough to provide product for it last time, but it is pretty costly to run, so we, out of pocket at least, will be at least doing the Christmas one, but $65 entry. If you dress, seasonally, and you got a little red and green on, little Christmassy stuff on, or whatever you celebrate, you can get $5 off of that, and it ends up being $60. You can come in and get a super, super fun time at a blast of a sealed event with completely random chaos pool of packs for the Christmas season. I think last year somebody got like a Fallen Empires pack. There were collector boosters in the pool. I had mystery booster. I was grave tightening people while also playing Duskmorn cards. It was a blast. So December 20th, Christmas sealed. You can register online, I believe, currently at thegamehub.ca. This is modern. This is what we're playing, at least. We're in between games right now. This is Merfolk versus Mono Black mid-range saga stuff. I thought this might be the mono black, like Ifnir Deadlands or whatever it's called, like lists that people were playing, but this is more just, you know, Nether Goif Saga mid-range stuff. So Thomas is on the play here, starting with a Sing into Stupor, which is the Spork Falls or whatever it's called on the backside. Just a tapped blue source here. Passing over to the turn to Jeff, who plays a Verdant. Also, hello, Trap Shark. Welcome, welcome. So Jeffrey's fetching here, going down to 19. I can't imagine he's going to be shocking here because I haven't seen a single color outside of black. So we're just getting a Swamp. Might see a Nethergoyf here, might see a Pithy Needle. I suspect this is probably going to be something like Inquisition or Thoughtseize. But this might just be a... oh my lord, is that what I think it is? Stalactite Stalker? Oh my lord. Are you familiar? Jeffrey is asking Tom. So Stalactite Stalker, banger from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, is a 1/1 on print. So 1/1 menace. At the beginning of your end step, if you've descended, so if a permanent card was put into your graveyard from anywhere, if you've descended, the Stalker gets a counter, and you can pay 2 and a black, sacrifice the Stalker to give target creature -X, where X is the Stalker's power. And of course, Stalker is a goblin. So this thing's going to be coming with a counter on it because of the Verdant Catacombs. Nice. So sick. Yeah, Goblin Gaming. So Mutavaults on the battlefield from Tom. This looks like a Silvergill Adept. Yeah, so Silvergill Adept revealing a Rishadan Dockhand. So Silvergill's on the battlefield. We're going to pick up a card. Assuming it resolves, which I imagine it does. This is not Legacy. I can't imagine Jeffrey has a Force of Will, and I sure as hell don't expect him to have a Pact of Negation in his list. So Jeff's turn here again, thinking what he wants to play, maybe thinking if he wants to play a Saga or not. Just another Swamp. Those beautiful swamps. I'm not sure what they're from a distance. Kind of looks like Odyssey. Might be Odyssey. Jeffrey's going to roast me after this for not knowing what they are. Hand looks like Vexing Bauble, some lands, something I don't recognize in the middle of Jeffrey's hand that looks like a Sundial of the Infinite, which is definitely not a Sundial of the Infinite. Oh, it might be a Disruptor Flute? It is a Disruptor Flute. So Disruptor Flute in hand from Jeffrey. I don't know if that was main board, but I'm not super sure if that's what I would have brought in. I guess you name Vile, but it's, I don't know. I feel like you have so much removal in this matchup being a mono black deck that you don't worry too much about the Vile existing. Okay, so we're fluting on upkeep here. Interesting that we're fluting on upkeep. Is he trying to name Mutavault, maybe? I mean, not, you just activate this in response anyways, but I wonder if he's maybe naming Harbinger. Just trying to make it way more expensive to cast. So Thomas is thinking with this Disruptor Flute on the stack. I kind of suspect Jeffrey's just naming Aether Vial here. But it is, you know, we're 3 turns into the game here, so. Really good for Planeswalkers, says Jeffrey. I can't imagine we're naming that here, but you know. Pithy Needle naming Jace Cunning Castaway, perhaps, huh? Naming Mu Yan Ling. We're not naming that, it's still in the stack. So Jeffrey's hand is Land, Vexing Bauble. Aether Vial was the name. Okay. Name Borbergmos? Yeah, right? Exactly. All right, so Aether Vial is named. So not only can Aether Vial not be activated, not that there's one on the battlefield right now, but if Thomas has the turn 3 Aether Vial draw, it now costs 3, which is not the best bargain on that spell. Okay, so Harbinger of the Tides, Harbinger of the Seas. I always forget this one. There are 2 different cards that have similar names. Harbinger of the Seas. Yes, Harbinger of the Seas on the battlefield. So we got a lot of islands. Well, actually, 3 total islands. None from Jeffrey right now. I think there is also a Harbinger of the Tides. There is. That's the Flash Merfolk. The 2 mana, 2/2 4 if you want to cast it for flash, and it enters you bounce it tapped thing. They don't play that anymore, but the name still confuses me. So, yeah, the discussing Aether Vial costing 3 mana. So this is a main phase Bowmasters from Jeffrey. I imagine we're probably just pinging down this. Yeah, Silvergill. Silvergill is down. The Goblin gets in for free here because it does have Minache. All right, Tom down to 16. Jeffrey, of course, is up a game right now. I'm interested to see what Tom brought in here. He's still got the Force Negations main board. I think I would have maybe just cut those entirely. Force Negation on something like Fatal Push or something like Pithy Needle is just like a little rough. And I'd be just more up on, you know, threats. Double Dockhand from Tom. This seems like a good matchup to have something like Svalin. Of course, Svalin isn't like amazing against Bowmasters, but just having these big bodies that can just really throw hands in combat are really nice in this weird mid-range soup mirror. Tom says, I hope you have fetches in hand. All right, so here's a Saga. Dockhand taxes. Jeff is stuck on 2 lands. Yeah, Dockhands aren't too bad here, for sure. If Jeff can't get to a spot where he can put a bigger threat on the battlefield, these Dockhands are going to be nice. We're discussing the Saga Blood Moon and stuff a little bit more here. So a Vexing Bauble on the battlefield, really awkward because Tom still has his Force Negation. I think you just have to cast this Force Negation here. Like, well, here's the problem. If you force this, so if you don't force this, your Force Negation is never getting pitched, so that's now irrelevant. But also, I don't like the Force anyways in the matchup, so even if he just like holds on to it, he could still hold it up for something, just hard cast it, but like, this Force isn't doing much more for him. I don't think this game is going to be determined on whether he has the Force going forward. I think if he's, you know, worried about this bubble to any extent, he could just force this now, but I wonder maybe if you're supposed to just, no. Actually, I don't know if Tom is playing Subtleties. So if he's playing Subtleties, I think that's a little bit more relevant because countering Subtlety is a lot stronger than countering Force in this matchup. All right, Bubble's resolved. I think that was, maybe thought Jeff was on a Necro build. Entirely possible, yeah. Also, like, I just don't think Tom has seen a lot of this list that Jeffrey's playing, so, you know, it's much easier for me to know that Force doesn't feel great in this matchup when I know more about it, but, of course, when you're sitting across from somebody and you don't know what's in the 60, it can be a little bit harder to determine whether or not somebody is worth countering. So another Bowmasters on the stack here. These Dockhands are 1/2, so they don't die to a single trigger at least. I think Jeffrey's kind of considering if he maybe wants to ping something for 1 to let things get in there, but he pings his own Bowmaster. So he's trying to descend with this Stalactite Stalker. I don't know if that's necessarily the play, but I like the Moxie. I guess he's trying to push damage with the Stalactite Stalker, which is going to do a little bit better in combat with a Menace. But I think I would have just kept the Bowmasters. I mean, 2 Bowmaster triggers against Merfolk, where you just have a lot of cards that end up drawing cards off Silvergill, off things like Svilin, off the, what's it called, Mindspring Merfolk. I mean, Mindspring Merfolk is just a heinous card against double Bowmasters, if we ever draw that. So Thomas has something in combat here. I assume this is probably the Flood Pits Drowner. Or tap something down. Is that Unsubstantiate? Is that that? I think that's unsubstantiate. All right, so unsubstantiate is returning that stalactite stalker back to hand. He said that's his answer for supreme verdict, so that probably is unsub. At least it's just return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. Probably non-land permanent, if I had to guess. All right, so upkeep, we're tapping both the swamps from Jeffrey with the dock hands. So this isn't the worst spot to have the rich dock hands, because now Jeffrey at least is a little pressed on mana, especially, yeah, he's not going to have any black mana here. So he's got double sagas that are secretly just islands. But his threats aren't really big enough that it matters too much right now. And Tom's at 16. He can take a few hits from this. So if Tom can get like a Lord out, something, you know, Lord of Atlantis, Master of the Pearl Trident, one of these things, one of these things can just make his current threats big enough to just stonewall off like the orcs and the army and stuff, then the dock hands are going to do a pretty good job at keeping Jeffrey off of anything relevant. Tom needs something to close the game, though, so the Lords would be the number one thing he wants to find. All right, so so double dock hand activation. He's just talking about which Mutavault he wants to tap down for the activated abilities. He wants to keep one of them up in case the Harbinger leaves. It doesn't really matter because somebody thinks this is relevant for blocking, but all right, so orcs coming in. I mean, this clock isn't that fast. Tom's got a lot of time to draw into, like, any of his Lords here are incredible. Okay, he's happy with whatever this draw is. I kind of assume it's, like, you know, Voldalian, Hexcatcher, Lord. It looks like Lord of Atlantis. Yeah, okay. So this is a problem for Jeff. So someone tell Thomas to flip his MDFC. So this is what Thomas wanted to see. So now he's got a real clock. I think I just start attacking with his Merfolk now. Start attacking with a Harbinger, getting in there, closing this game out. You almost, yeah, exactly. You almost have a faster clock here, regardless of life total, because if you draw any Merfolk, then they're just stonewalled again immediately. And you're keeping off of lands so well. Yeah. I think this is the game plan. You hope Jeff doesn't draw a Fatal Push or something like that. Or any, well, oh, nope, that's still an island. No, does not see itself. So yeah, just a 2/2 currently. If he draws, like, if Tom draws any Merfolk here, let alone another Lord, like, this game's pretty closed up. But Tom's in a pretty fantastic spot right now, because Jeffrey's clock isn't nearly as fast as Thomas's. And Jeffrey doesn't have a Fatal Push or anything in hand right now, clearly. Obviously, otherwise he would just Fatal Push in response to the Rish activation. All right, Thomas draws. Hand looks like some reactionary spells, an island. I think he's still got that Force Negation in hand, if I recall. But I think you just keep getting in with a Harbinger. Jeffrey's at 14 right now. Harbinger is a 3/3 right now, right? Yeah, so you're in a 5-turn timer. Oh, he's coming in with the Lord. Wait, Lord doesn't have Island Walk itself. Wait, does it? I don't remember. I'm a fake Magic fan. Lord of Atlantis does, in fact, not have Island Walk itself. Doesn't matter too much here, given that the only blocker available was the 1/1, but a little risky. But this is way faster clock if he's doing it this way, so that's nice. I think Jeffrey has gotten to the point where he just needs to draw Fatal Push, like, now. He's at 9. He's dead on board to... Wait, it's just dead on board? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 unblockable damage on Thomas's battlefield right now if he just attacks with these dock hands. If he draws any Lord, this is definitely lethal. If he draws... Oh, that might just be it. So he's sending in full... I think Jeffrey's just dead. I imagine this is a little silly attack here. Sometimes you gotta apply psychic damage. Wish I could see what was in Tom's hand here right now. I know it's Force. I believe he's got maybe another Unsubstantiate. Spreading Seas. All right, so Bloodstained Mire, which is currently an island, is getting turned into, once again, an island. We're going to draw a card off the Spreading Seas. See, this is a little shaky, because now we got the Bowmasters. Yeah. If Jeffrey had another Bowmasters here, and Tom didn't have anything to do about it, this could be really, really bad, but I don't think Jeffrey does, at least. So we're going upstairs with the Bowmasters trigger. Might have been a little bit of misplay by Tom, but I don't think it'll punish him too badly. Looks like he drew a Master of the Pearl Trident. Is that what that is? If that's a Master, then this game is just over. Yeah, he's doing the math right now. Yeah, okay. All right, great. So Jeffrey did know he was dead. He was just letting Tom get there. All right, so game 2 is going to our boy T. Hams here. Mr. Thomas. Going to game 3. I'm not sure what either of them brought in. I'd be curious to ask them after. I don't know what Thomas's current sideboard looks like. I don't know if he brought in something like Dismember. I don't think Jeffrey's deck is like that relevant of a creature deck to want to bring in something that hardcore, but also I kind of suspect that Thomas's main board's kind of okay. So Jeffrey will be on the play here. Oh, I love this mat Jeffrey has, by the way. I'm not specifically sure what that mat is from, but it looks very Mox Jetty. Oh. Resetting the life totals there. Shout out Mr. Snoochins. Oh, yeah, you're right. This is the heavy play. Fold out mats. Yeah, you're right. I think that was gifted to Jeffrey, maybe, by somebody. One of our lovely modern folks. Might have been Pokemon Professor Emmett Kolcheski. Yeah. Professor Kolcheski, I believe. Who is playing in the event today. Strange, because, you know, he's just a full-time Pokemon professor. Professor anything but magic. Well, apparently not today. Got him in the event. I believe next week, if I'm not playing and I end up casting it again, I might be joined by a certain Bread. And Brennan can be the Cedric Phillips to my Patrick Sullivan. Oh God, no. I think you mean oh God, yes, but Thomas is talking about how he's got a little bit of stage fright going on right now. Everyone's watching. All right, so this hand looks not great from what I can see. I see a lot of cards that aren't lands. Oh, boy. So with Thoughtseize on the stack, kind of looks like Thomas might force this. I think if he's forcing this, he might have like one land Aether Vial. That's kind of the only reason I would force this. So Force Negation, pitching Flood Pits, Drowner. It makes sense if he's got one land Aether Vial, which I kind of suspect he does. I don't see a lot of lands here. So, oh, nope, he's got 2 lands. Okay, so Sephoric Falls. Back to Jeffrey here. Jeffrey plays the Saga. A Saga that will get its ability for the first time in what feels like a decade. Why is he playing instants tapped? Yeah, I know. Magic has changed so much. Your instants just stay on the battlefield. It's like a mystery booster card. It's correct. Stifle is not legal. One of them is just asking. So Necrogoyf on the battlefield. This should be a 0-1. Bit of a beater. Consign better Stifle. Yeah, well, it doesn't hit activated abilities, of course. Consign of Memory is a pretty messed up magic card. I would say, on average, it is definitely way better than, way better than Stifle in this day and age. Like, well, you're definitely right. I do get a lot of joy. I get a lot of Schadenfreude from stifling like a Planeswalker ability, stifling like a like an ultimate perhaps, stifle a Jace -12. Not really something that happens these days, given that people don't play horrible cards like Jace the Mind Sculptor. But sorry, Patrick Chapin. Saga going up. We can make some constructs here. I just gotta throw, oh my lord, onto the second Saga. A little awkward to go land Saga into Saga because you end up missing an activated ability from the Sagas. You end up missing a construct, but this is still pretty good overall. And you can get double activate or double fetches for artifacts here. Okay, moving to combat, we got something. I think we're just gonna flood pits this Nethergoyf. It's only a 1/2 the Nethergoyf, so not too important, but yeah, this is, well, Jeffrey almost, Jeffrey tapping his lands like he immediately regretted his decision, which he should, because I think killing that was maybe not that important, given that he can just hold up the mana for the activation, but might be entirely fine. He has to sacrifice making a construct for killing this flood pits, but yeah. Okay, so this is, so there's a Harbinger of the Seas on the stack. It's going to be shutting one of these sagas off from doing anything relevant, but Jeffrey does currently still have that one saga. I think Thomas maybe should have just waited. Replicating on a Warped Riddler with Felly end of turn. Yeah, that's pretty unpleasant. But I'm not a Blink player, so, you're fighting the good fight. So still on Thomas's end step. This must be Dismember. You've only colorless mana up here. I guess you have blue mana, but that's, oh my lord. All right, Jeffrey Tompkins card here. We got Force of Despair on the stack. So part of the Force cycle, so we can cast this by exiling a black card from our hand instead of paying our mana cost if it's an opponent's turn, but destroy all creatures that enter the battlefield this turn. So we're taking off the Harbinger here. I'd like to do a little shout out to the moment where Professor Kolcheski himself was borrowing the store's Boggles deck at the time and got to play against Jeffrey, where he got to go turn 1, Slippery Boggle on a mulligan of 5, pass, and Jeffrey got to hit him with Force of Despair and a Surgical Extraction on Slippery Boggle, which was what I suppose someone might call a bozo moment. That one was a little tough. But a little less savage in this current moment. Just killing the Harbinger. I almost think, like, in a weird way, this might be kind of okay for Tom. I really don't like playing Harbinger when they have a Sagan too. Like, you're a creature deck that's like, if you have a clock that's fast enough to go under these artifacts with Island Walk, then it's fine. But when you're playing that's putrid. When you're playing a Harbinger onto a battlefield that's like fairly empty or fairly even, and your opponent just has this, infinite Urza construct activation, it's gonna be really hard to catch up from there. So while Tom's not in a good spot here currently, regardless, I at least don't mind getting rid of all the sagas before I try to Harbinger again. So, oh boy. So, Shieldra of the Apocalypse is on the battlefield. So, pretty bad for Tom. I mean, the drain triggers on draw are pretty good here, but also Merfolk dealing with this 4/5 Death Touch is just like such a nightmare. Nothing's attacking through this thing. Nothing's blocking this thing successfully, at least with that Island Walk for the attackers. But also, the only answer basically is, yeah, Mutavault back online. Unsubstantiate deals with it temporarily if you have something to hit it on the way back down, but I don't think Tom does. So it's kind of dismember or bust on this one. But even if Tom can dismember the Shieldred, he's got, let's see, some amount of damage off this Necrogoyf, which I think is a 2/3 right now, plus 2 more. So unsub Shieldred back to hand, which kind of just looks like a fog if I had to guess. If Jeff wants to make an artifact this turn, he's off of Shieldred, which maybe Thomas was hoping for, because then maybe Thomas is hoping to untap and have, counter spell or Flare of Denial or something on the way back down. But also Thomas is just in such a spot where he can't really just sit back and play the control game because the battlefield is just, turning right on him. It's going to be tough to recover from here, I think. Shadow Spear searched up by the Urza Saga. Thomas is facing down a lot of power here. So the graveyard, we've got an instant, a land, an enchantment, an artifact. So we're at least 4. So yeah, so we got a 4/5 Goyf. We've got a 1/1 Orc coming in. So we got 5 coming in, and then next turn Jeff's got that plus this construct, which is huge. This construct's a 4/4 base plus a Shadow Spear on something here. All right. Master of the Pearl Trident on the battlefield. Thomas says, I'll cast this so you can push it, which might be the result. Field of Ruin from Jeffrey on the battlefield. I don't think that's too relevant at this point of the game, but it does at least hit this Mutavault if blockers try to happen. But I think with Tom at 11 and Jeffrey at 20 going up in a second here, it's going to be a pretty tough game to get out of. So combat from Jeffrey. Construct coming in, Nethergoyf coming in. Construct is a 4/4, of course equal to the amount of artifacts you control. And the Nethergoyf is a 5/6, I believe. It's a 4/5 with the Shadow Spear, so +1/+1, trample, and lifelink. And Shadow Spear in this matchup also is just like so hard for Thomas to stabilize from. It makes blocking so awkward, and also just it makes the clock significantly harder to reduce. So Thomas at 2, Jeffrey at 25. Merfolk doesn't have any sort of sweeper, so hand is a force negation, probably some other reactionary stuff, but with 4 mana, no vial, no creatures right now, this is going to be pretty tough. So here's Lord of Atlantis on the battlefield. We do have a 3/3 Master now, Island Walk, which is not currently online. He's got a Mutavault he can block with, but also if Jeffrey doesn't miss it, he can just snipe this thing with a Field of Ruin, and Jeffrey also just currently has enough attackers, so I think this is going to be tough, and I think this is going to just be the match here. Thomas says lame, but then friendly follows it with a always a pleasure. Looks like Jeffrey's taking this match in 3. They're both talking about how their nerves are up being on camera. All right, looks like they're reporting now. We're going to be moving on to match 3 pretty shortly here. You're going to lurk and sleep. Sounds good. Thanks for chatting with me. Glad to have you here. I hope the furry little friend in your house that you just acquired is acclimating well. And I hope you have a good sleep, and hopefully I'll see you at some point this weekend. Maybe for some Riftbound perhaps, but of course, being a new pet parent, you might not be there. We'll see. Looks like round 3 pairings are immediately up, given that that was the last match we were waiting on. I hear a lot of laughter out there. I think we might have a fun pairing at table 1 here. So, we're gonna have our Pokemon professor at a top table here. So I believe our pairings at the top table right now are Gabe, who we had on table 1 earlier, playing Sam combo, and Emmett playing whatever Emmett's playing. I'm not too sure. Emmett's played a lot of Blink in the past. Emmett's played a lot of Ruby, although he's been very busy learning every other TCG in the universe except for Riftbound. Riftbound, by the way, every Saturday, 6:30. Join on in. Great game. Everyone's getting into it. It's a lot of fun. Everyone except Emmett. If I had to guess, he might be on Neobrand tonight. in which I suspect that's probably a pretty good matchup. I don't think Neobrand struggles against the slightly slower creature combo deck. Then again, I'm not sure he's on the deck regardless. All right, so we got Gabe on the left, and we got Pokemon Professor. No, that's too long. Okay, we'll go Prof. Elmet on the right. All right, we've got a Magic player against a Pokemon, Digimon, One Piece, whatever else he plays these days. Weiss Schwartz, Hold'em. Anything but that isn't Magic most of the time, Riftbound. Playing with a Yu-Gi-Oh, Matt. That's a choice. I think Emmett is referring to being a little sleepy tonight. Says he's excited for the 3-0 drop. He's very tired. No, you gotta clean 4-0 it. So it looks like Gabe's on the play. I'm excited to see what Emmett's playing here. If I had to guess, he's on Neoform, Neobrand, something like that. I see a Swamp. This is not Neoform. What is this? Oh, yes. I had forgotten he'd been playing this recently. It looks like Emmett is on Mill. This has to be a pretty good matchup, if I imagine, for Mill. Like, of course, you're increasing the speed of the combo by putting the Familiars in hand, making the Shifting Woodland activate faster, but also Surgical Extractions are just such a nightmare. Professor Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah, I should actually change his name to that. You're right. I'm a big fan of Mill in Modern right now. I mean, I think a lot of things lose Surgical Extraction in the meta right now. Your Blink matchup probably isn't the worst in the universe. Their clock can be a little bit fast with Phalia, but you're not playing against something like Prowess that can just clock you instantly. And Surgical Extraction, Extirpate, all these things are very, very, very strong against a lot of things in the meta. Very strong against the Tron decks, very strong against stuff like this, very strong against, the Flage decks of the format. Very strong against, I imagine, things like Neoform, but I don't know how that matchup plays out, given that they have quite a bit of protection on the main board. But Sylvan Safekeeper from Gabe on the battlefield with a Forest. We already have a Birthing Ritual and a Food. Got a Crab on the battlefield. So Pluto Delta enters, the Crab will trigger. Each opponent's going to mill 3 cards. So Haywire Might, Overgrown Tomb, and Shifting Woodlands hits the bin. Gabe untaps. Move straight to end step. No second land. We're going to get the Birthing Ritual triggers. So he's going to look at the top 7. He's going to get an option to get a 2-drop or less creature onto the battlefield by sacrificing the Sylvan Safekeeper. Doesn't look like he's going to do so. So those 7 are going to the bottom. What are the top decks for Modern? I know Raid Boss rocks blue-white control. So the Blink decks are really popular right now. Decks that just leverage things like Quantum Riddler, which you know from Standard, of course, Jesse. But things like Quantum Riddler, things like Phalia from Modern Horizons 3 that just blink and recur value off of other things. Solitude, these things that can clear the board from your opponent. Those are very popular, whether they be blue-white, which I believe is what Mr. Raid Boss plays more so these days. Jeskai playing things like Flage and just red removal in general, or Esperlis playing some black cards. Those decks are very popular. Boros Energy is still quite popular, one of the better aggro decks. Prowess is very popular, of course, thanks to some standard bangers such as Slickshot Show Off. Corey Steelcutter, I guess, no longer in Standard, but all the Tron decks are still quite popular. All these big mana, Ugin, Eye of the Storm decks are still very, very successful. And then a lot of different combo decks. What Gabe's got going on here, what Emmett's got going on here, which you could kind of call a combo deck. Mill is not so secretly kind of just an aggro deck. It's just blue burn, where your opponent's life total is their deck instead. Modern is in a spot where it's got quite a wide variety of decks that are doing quite well. Affinity is very strong right now. Just these like turbo fast artifact decks playing Pinnacle Emissary from Standard, playing Kappa Cannoneer, playing Weapons Manufacturing. Speaking of standard bangers. All right, Emmett's got a bit of a Earl's Crab Shack set up. 2 crabs waiting to make that library turn into a graveyard. Yes, I am a fan of the mill deck. There is a large portion of Magic players who would argue that mill is a villain deck. They're incorrect, objectively. Mill is a hero deck, but they just haven't come around yet. So a 3rd crab on the battlefield. These Pluto Deltas are crazy at this point. So Pluto Delta is going to mill Gabe for 9 cards. All these land drops being 9 cards to the graveyard is crazy. I mean, this is the equivalent of, this is the burn equivalent of all my lands are lightning bolts, which is just so crazy. Mono blue Valakut deck. Mr. President, a 3rd crab has hit the mat. I know you're a mill fan as well, so I'm sure you're I suspect I know where your loyalty lies on this battlefield in this match. Oh, I didn't actually know they were playing this anymore. Glimpse the Unthinkable, targeting Gabe, which is just 2 mana, blue-black, sorcery, target player mills 10 cards. I'm not sure what Gabe's current library count is, but it looks very low. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, Emmett is not playing any copies of Sanity Grinding. Or the German version of said card, which I'm not going to do the horrible attempt of pronunciation at. So we got a Viserys here. So okay, so with Viserys here on the stack, we're killing Sam with the Drown in the Loch. Put him off of combo here. And we're just going to show him some lands, show Gabe that all of his lands are quadruple lightning bolts and that he is, in fact, with an empty library remaining. So we're moving to game 2. This is the battle between the two main villains in Magic, Yawgmoth and who I suspect is John Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't know this character from Yu-Gi-Oh on the right. Might be John Yu-Gi-Oh. Dark Wizard Master Magic Man would be my second guess. I'm pretty sure that's not Dark Magician in his later years, but I also don't know anything about that franchise, so it might be. Maybe that's Yu-Gi-Oh! UB itself. Maybe that is Saruman from Lord of the Rings, but in Yu-Gi-Oh! Do a little sideboarding here. Isekai Anime Headmaster. Yeah, that's probably confirmed. Don Juan Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, you're right. You're right. Do a little sideboarding here. I think Emmett's pretty light on sideboarding. Most of your main board is just amazing in this matchup. I don't know if he has any more surgicals or extirpate effects in the side, but I imagine any of those are probably coming in. I imagine we're cutting some stuff to bring in probably just any amount of fatal pushes, things like that. Fatal push, kind of a weird function in this deck because you care a little bit less about the fact that you're relieving pressure from Gabe's deck, but more just almost entombing your opponent's surgical targets into the graveyard so that you can snipe them out of there. I do happen to know that Gabe, I believe, is playing a copy or maybe 2 of Rift Sweeper in a sideboard, which is you get to choose a face-up card from exile you control and shuffle it, or put it in your graveyard or shuffle it into your library. I think it's shuffle it into your library, which is a little bit of an anti-surgical tech. The Mill Engine card mostly is cards like Hedron Crab and, what's the other one called? Hedron Crab and, wow, some Mill player I am. Ruin Crab is the newer one. So Hedron Crab and Maroon Crab, 2 1-drop blue cards. Landfall, Hedron Crab, I believe, is target player mills 3 cards, and Maroon Crab is each opponent mills 3 cards. So those with fetch lands are a pretty strong engine because, you know, like as we just saw with Emmett, having all your lands be mill 9 when you have 3 of them out is pretty strong. But you also just have so many turbo fast mill cards in Modern that are legal. Things like Archive Trap, which are 4 mana, I believe, to cast, maybe 5 mana, but you can cast it for free if your opponent has searched their library, and it's each opponent or target opponent mills 13 cards. 13? 14. It's probably 14. I'm doing you a shame over here, Vance, with vaguely knowing mill cards. But they play things also outside of that, like Glimpse the Unthinkable, target player mills 10, cards like, if they still play them at least, Fractured Sanity, I believe it's called. Blue, blue, blue. Each opponent mills 14, but if you cycle it, each opponent mills 4 instead. Oh, yeah. Tasha's Hideous Laughter is also a banger in this deck. 1 blue, blue. Each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they have exiled a total of 20 mana cost or greater. Against some decks, it can be a little sus. You'll get, 8 cards, which is, not the worst bargain. But against some decks like this, where your mana cost or your mana curve kind of caps it at like 3, sometimes you just get, 20 cards off somebody. Yeah, Singularity Rupture is probably a little too slow. I don't remember if that's even 4 or 5 mana, but Modern, 4 mana in Modern has to do a lot. No River Turn either. Yeah, you just have faster tools in Modern to mill through your opponent's library. Archive Trap is a hell of a card. But the nice part about mill in Modern is that you get to play this weird control game where your mill just helps you surgical things from their deck. So you get to keep them off of so many combos. You get to, so we get an Archive Trap here. Gabe has searched his library, so we're activating we're playing the archive for free. Oh yeah, way too slow. 6 mana is a lot. So 14 going to yard here. 13. I'm such a fake fan. Second Archive Trap on the stack. All right, 26 total cards going to the yard here. Man, let me tell you, I've had some good games here on table 1, but they have been some fast ones. First one was a little bit slower, but Emmett's making this match look like it's going to go by pretty quickly, which is more or less what I would have guessed. I don't think that Mill has any issue with most combo matchups. Turns out when you kind of get to start most turns with your opponent's combo pieces out of their library, you're pretty happy with it. Gabe's got a Sephiroth in hand. We got a Verdant. We've got Saraseer. Phantasmal Visions, Savor the Moment. I am a big fan of Savor the Moment. This, I think, is just going to be way too slow, unfortunately. Gabe's got a Sephiroth, which is going to be a good little engine to draw some cards. What fetch lands is the Professor running? So you get full access to all the, cracked classic fetch lands from Tarkir and Onslaught back in the day. So you have Pluto Delta. I imagine Emmett's on some combination of probably like 12 blue fetches, so some amount of Pluto Delta, some amount of Flooded Strand, some amount of Scalding Tarn, something like that. You also get to play a Boro, Palace in the Clouds, which is a legendary land that taps for a colorless, but you can pay it taps for a blue, but you can pay a colorless to return it to your hand. So it kind of lets you have a consistent land drop later in the game for your crabs. Blue-green with Coco. You're making Ship It proud with that one. Sounds like a Ship It deck. So passing it back to Gabe here. Gabe, I think, still has a bit of time to go here. He's got a lot in hand. He's got a Samwise in hand. So Sam on the battlefield. We got a Samagoose and a Sephiroth. We got a Viscera Seer on the battlefield. So I assume there might be a cat. Oh no. So Emmett is drowned in the locking Viscera Seer, which Gabe is Veil of Summering. So Gabe's spells are no longer counterable this turn, and all of Gabe's permanents and Gabe himself has protection or can't be targeted by blue or black spells. So the cat is back. We've consigned the food trigger. He still has 1 food. I think Emmett is just dead here. All right. Combos happened. Sam did the thing. Gabe is fighting his way into game 3 here. I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, Veil of Summer is a heater of a card. And pretty often when you aren't expecting it, it can be kind of the best card in the universe. I've cast plenty of Veil of Summers in my life. If I didn't work Thursdays, I'd totally borrow a Modern deck and come out one night. Huge turnout tonight. Yeah, we've got two Modern decks at the store now. One of them is, I believe, like missing a card or two, but it should be ready for next week, hypothetically. We've got Tron, we got Eldrazi Tron, and we have Prowess available. So, if you ever have a chance Thursday to come out, you absolutely should, because we'd love to have you. Pretty quiet turnout tonight, mostly because we got a lot of the boys at the regional championships this weekend, which starts tomorrow, but the main event, I believe, starts Saturday. But we've been pretty happy that our Modern turnouts have been bumping for a while. Like I was talking about earlier, our low numbers for Modern being 10 people, which is tonight, is just something that I'm so thankful for. I've been to plenty 4-people Modern events, right after COVID times to be very thankful for always having 4 rounds. But what can I say? We're very lucky to have a place such as the Game Hub. Very thankful for my employers and all my coworkers who are incredibly lovely people who want more than anything for a community to thrive and for all of us nerds to be able to play the games that we love. Some mulligan from Gabe by the looks of it. Oh, Renegade Rallier in the list. Be Still My Beating Heart. I think he just bottomed it immediately after I said that. I feel so disrespected. Vexing Bauble in Gabe's hand. Brought that in for the archive traps, I believe. Yep. That seems fine here. It shuts off archive trap. I'm actually not confident on if Vexing Bauble shuts off surgical extraction. Phyrexian Mana is a weird one. Garion doesn't play Modern? Garion's played Modern. Hasn't recently, but Garion has definitely had some Modern gaming in his heart. Garion, like me, is also a fan of playing just the most absolute nonsense of all time. Looking like the person with their hands up on their head explaining to you the wildest theory of all time on what could be busted in this deck that you're pitching up. Very unfamiliar with Modern. Yeah, I mean, Modern is a pretty complicated format, but the decks, at least that we have, are fairly straightforward. We currently have Tron and Prowess. I believe we're trying to have Domain Zoo together as well, but Prowess is pretty simple. I mean, you'd be able to rock that pretty easily. You're casting Slickshot Show-Offs, you're casting Core Steals, you're casting Lightning Bolts, and you're killing your opponent. And then Tron is this, timeless ramp control deck that you get to play your 7 drops on turn 3 and just completely overwhelm your opponent. What you need to do, Mr. Adjacuti, is get into Legacy. Yeah. Join us at Proxy Legacy. Because I know Mr. Bantz will be at Legacy next weekend, right? Okay, so we got a Surgical on the stack targeting Samwise right now, I believe. I think Emmett is reading Rift Sweeper right now. All right, so Samwise is out of the deck currently. Yes, fair enough, Bence. Yeah, we're very stoked about our little Legacy scene that's been thriving so well. I mean the Vancouver / wherever we are, I guess Interior / Okanagan, all these areas have just such a bizarrely huge Legacy scene, which is just really buffed by the fact that so many places are proxy friendly for this format that is not the most affordable by some people. And we are just so happy to help anybody out and trying to join for proxy friendly Legacy. I have a big amount of stuff that I'm kind of printing out for it. And all we ask is a little event entry, which goes straight into the prize pool. And it's a blast. So Gabe's got no Sam in the library currently. So we're kind of on the beatdown plan until we can find Rift Sweeper, which isn't impossible. I mean, this Marionette Apprentice is going to drain Emmett pretty consistently. And I don't know if Gabe took out or kept in the Grist, but Grist can do a little bit here. But without the threat of the combo on the battlefield at least, it's going to be very difficult for him to outpace Emmett, because Emmett's going to play a lot better of the aggro plan than Gabe is in this current battlefield. Kudos to the Game Hub for keeping MTG alive while in Kamloops. Yeah, I mean, we're just so lucky that Kamloops and surrounding areas have this just strangely massive Magic scene across like kind of any format, and not even Magic scene, but scenes for the other TCGs, Warhammer, board games, BattleTech, all these things that are just, niche little communities that people are so devoted to. And Kamloops just has such an incredible mix of all these things. And I mean, that is, I think, what, of course, the owners of the store intended on cultivating, having this space for those people to do all these things that just make them so happy, and be a place for that. So birthing ritual trigger is okay. Oh no. Okay, so Gabe's birthing ritual trigger has got him an endurance, which he's sacking the Marionette Apprentice for. He's going to attempt to put the cards from his graveyard to the bottom of his library, but Emmett is consigning the trigger from endurance. Gabe's just asking if Veil stops this. Veil does not stop this, which we're going to call the judge, but Gabe has seemed to agree. Correct. This will not prevent that, so we have an endurance, but it is not putting the graveyard back at the bottom, so Gabe is still in danger. We got a pretty busy house right now in general. Smaller modern due to a bunch of the folks being out of town, but we do have quite a few people still playing Commander League, getting their last games in for the week. I still need to get my last 2 games in for the week. So Rune Crab trigger, 3 go to the bin. Oh, Jesse, I apologize. I meant to get rid of the grid at the top. Hedron Crab for Mehmet. So activating a Borrow. Picking it up, playing it again. Landfall trigger twice. 6 cards going to the bin from Gabe. Gabe's library is looking pretty low. I don't know if he's got another endurance in the list. Oh, Tasha's Hideous Laughter on the stack. This is the card that Garian's been waiting to see. So we're exiling from the top of Gabe's library until he hit a total CMC of 20. 1, 2, 4. Still 4. 6. 7. 9. 12. 13. Still 13. 14. Oh boy. 16, 19, 20 exactly. Gabe has, oh boy. Can't tell, but it looks something like, 6 cards left in the library. It's not a lot. I'm at that 14. I mean, Gabe's got a battlefield, but none of these things are huge, and they're getting kind of just awkwardly stonewalled by these massive crabs, which are, 0-3s or 0-2s. Apprentice helps a little bit. We've got a sack outlet on board, so Gabe can currently sack the entire field for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the Young Wolf, 7 with the Bauble, because it cares about artifacts. Takes 6 in combat. The Apprentice is on the battlefield. Emmett should just be dead here, I think. Wait. So he's 8 life. Apprentice donks 1 when an artifact or creature dies. So Viscera here can sack 1, 2, 3, 4. So Marionette trigger. Is this Marionette not on the battlefield, or is he just forgetting these triggers? Oh my god, is he just forgetting the... I'm not too sure what happened here. is the Marionette Apprentice not on the battlefield, or did he just miss the triggers? Huh. Huh. Okay, well, I'm not too sure what just happened. I get a feeling that perhaps that Marionette Apprentice was just maybe in hand. Might have just missed the triggers on it, but I believe if it was on the battlefield, he just had lethal there, unfortunately. But looks like Emmett's taking the match. Puts our Pokemon Professor up to 3-0 right now, I believe. Up to 3-0. Mill is taking it all home. Well, might take it all home. Still got 3 matches underway here. Emmett on Mill. Yeah. Another little reminder once again, tomorrow we have our standard F&M, of course, 6:30. Happens every week. Be a blast. We get the first one since Avatar's come out. I'm really excited for that. Followed by events throughout the weekend. We got Sunday as our first event for the Master of the Four Elements Avatar Sealed League, which is going to be a blast. You get to make yourself a little sealed deck. Every subsequent week post that, you get to add a single pack into your pool and build a deck out of it. And then you get to compete against other people in the league. Update your deck throughout it and get some fancy little prizes and things. We got Riftbound Saturday, 6:30. Really excited about that. Said already, but that game is such a blast. Promo packs for everybody who's come in. Open that cool little Teemo. And then we got Legacy next Saturday. Legacy next Saturday at 2 p.m. Proxy-friendly Legacy, $20 entry. Door prizes available. Usually we get like a collector pack for a random door prize, as well as just, store credit pumped into the prize pool from everyone's entry. It's usually such a blast. If you're interested in Legacy, you've never tried it out, maybe there's a deck you want to try, but you've looked at the price of the format and noticed that it's pretty heinous and pretty scary sometimes. We are always welcome to have anybody join us for that, and you can join in on the Discord. I believe the Discord is in fact just discord.gg/thegamehub. And you can join in on there. You can pop into one of the Magic chats, probably Competitive Magic, I believe it's called. And you can ask in there if you got an idea for Legacy you want to join in. And one of us, Jeffrey, somebody who is one of our Legacy regulars, can absolutely help you out on finding a deck for that. I will just always chill out for Legacy because it is the most fun format of all time. Maybe next to Cube. It's close. And we're just super happy to have new players for that. Hello, Pterododal. What is a Pterododal? It's like a mix of a pterodactyl and a axolotl. So it looks like we still got 3 players playing other matches currently. Looks like Jeffrey's still playing, so our Mono Black Stalactite Stalker Gamer is still 2-0, possibly 3-0 after this. Merfolk's still playing, currently at 1-1. I haven't got a chance to see what everyone else is on, but I suspect Braden is probably on Boros. Got Braden at 1-1 currently. Yeah, I'm sad we're going to miss you at Cube this weekend, I imagine, at least, Vance. But hopefully by next Saturday when Legacy comes up, you are able to come hang with the folks and slang some silly old cards. I will have to show you when I get home some of the cards that I've acquired recently for Cube, because I I went out of the way to find the best process to edit the text on some of the alchemy cards that I'd like to add into Vintage Cube to make them more paper playable and also make them look a little less heinous, because the Magic Online / Arena formatting looks pretty bad. So I've got some silly little alchemy cards that I'm excited to try out in paper. Unlikely that'll be there, within the next few weeks, but if you join us for Cube sometime in December, you're going to see some fun little ones. Oh, buddy. I don't know if it's in Cube, but I did print out 3 of that card. with a edited paper able text. So if you'd like one of those, I'd gladly give you one of those. Mostly because I wanted to build it in Commander as well. That card's so fun. Oyama Nartok, I believe it's called. Polar Werebear. There's also a card from, I think, Alchemy Innistrad that says, it says when a swamp or island enters, you draft a card from its spellbook. And it has a very similar text to Oyama Nartok where all the draftable cards are just these big, goofy sea creatures. And I'm a big fan. I play a lot of combo decks in some formats and some weird, bizarre, complicated decks, but I am at heart a big fan of big, dumb idiots in most formats, especially in things like Commander, where I can just cast, these extremely mid cards like what's that one card? Stormtide Leviathan. Basically any blue creature from Theros. Great Whale. Reef Worm, perhaps? Serpent of Yawning Depths, a card that I did not know existed and also did not know was $20 or so. All right, I'm going to change these really quick and step out of the booth to grab a refreshment. But I will be back in the booth shortly for our final round of the event. All right, I am back. We are currently just waiting for round 4. Got a few folks still playing their matches. Currently, we have 1 3-0 in the room with Emmett on mill. If Jeffrey takes this game against Eric, he's going to be 3-0 as well, which would be our top table. I would love to see a Emmett and Jeffrey match for 3-0 fight off. That'd be a good time. I like to lovingly pick on our resident Pokemon Professor Emmett, but I will once again mention that we have such a lovely community here, and all of our players, including our Pokemon Professor Emmett, are just such caring and fun people to be around. And I could not ask for more from a local game store to have all these people here to play games against and just foster such a friendly environment and play just such deranged decks at all times. What have you been keeping busy with at home, Vance? Have you been playing some games? Have you been playing some Cube online, perhaps? I think the Magic Arena Cube is now down, unfortunately, but I had a good time with the Magic Arena cube while I was gone, or while I was up. Game 2 rigged. Yeah. I mean, Arena, Arena conspiracy theorist rant, but it's not exactly a theory. The Arena Shuffler is a little nightmarish occasionally, which can kind of turn me off of the software, but I did have a blast in the Arena Cube while I was up. I got a lot of free ones from people who had never played Cube before, which is a funny experience to have happen. PoE. Lots of roguelikes. Yeah, I've still never played PoE once, but I have been more tempted than ever to play it after watching some interviews recently with Chris Wilson, especially his magic video regarding his incredibly, overwhelmingly expensive collection of lands that he posted on YouTube. Classic Anniversary. Yeah, I believe we have Burning Crusade pre-patch early January. Yeah, I am excited for that. I will definitely be returning to playing Classic Anniversary when that comes out. Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I mean, they shipped the other patches quite a bit earlier on schedule, like Nax and Ankiraj came quite a bit earlier than expected, but yeah, I think we still don't have a date for midnight, right? I think it's still far off the horizon. It's like sometime next year in quotations. I did see on the beta for the housing system in Midnight that people were building vert ramps and living their Tony Hawk Pro Skater life in World of Warcraft. So, that seems positive for the DLC. I'm excited for that. When I think of World of Warcraft, I think of hanging out in my house and listening to Goldfinger. So went on 2 more rounds for the event still. I'll tell you, I am very, very excited to play the Christmas event coming up. I had such an amazing time at the last one. Chaos Sealed is so near and dear to my heart, and I get so much enjoyment from opening the most bizarre mix of cards. And December 20th, be there, be square, at the Game Hub. Dress up all Christmassy, holiday-y, whatever you celebrate. And if you don't, still very happy to have you here. 2 p.m., open some silly packs. Maybe be one of those people who ended up with a Fallen Empires pack like last year. I suspect that probably won't happen, but, you never know. It's Chaos Sealed. I hope to open the most nonsensical mix of things. Homelands this year. Yeah, let me tell you, speaking of Homelands and Fallen Empires and all these sets, and speaking of Legacy, you did miss out on quite the time at the last Legacy, where our boy T-Hams on camera earlier was playing Mono Black Thralls, which I played a lot of Legacy in my time, and I haven't had the pleasure of playing against Thralls before. And, yeah, Thrall Champion. Quite the card. There are some bangers from Fallen Empires and sets as Homelands back in the day. But I didn't ever think that, I'd have to experience the Legacy experience of land, Dark Ritual into Thrall Champion. But I can say that I've had that happen to me now, so. Magic the Gathering, huh? I've been doing some pre-planning on our 3rd season of the Commander League. So I'm very, very excited to have that happen because I've been having such a blast with our 2nd season right now. And I am a very critical Magic player when it comes to Commander, but we've had such a lovely community here and it's been such a blast. So I'm really excited to tweak some things going forward for the 3rd season. I'm hoping to find some weirdo decks to put into the pool. Might have a lead on some 40k stuff, but that's my own words, not the store's, so no promises. You better play in the Commander League next season, pal, Mr. Bance. Keep looking at your name at the bottom of the list with no games played. It's breaking my heart. Breaking my heart. I'll try not dying next time. Yeah, for sure. I don't even remember what precon you got. Did you get a Modern Horizons 3 one as your pick? Corum. Oh, Disa's that one is sick. I mean, any excuse to cast anything that says Lurgoyf on it, right? What is Legacy these days, if not an excuse to put Pyrogoyf and Nethergoyf on the stack? I saw a pretty ambitious Jund list recently that was playing just like the full suite. Four Pyrogoyf, 4 Barogoyf, 4 Tarmogoyf, 4 Nethergoyf, I think a Lurgoyf Nest or Tarmogoyf Nest or whatever that one's called. It looked like a dream. It looked like Reed Duke's, just like Afterlife, you know? It's where you would end up. Oh, I just heard the word Emmett, the only 3-0. Looks like it. Yep. Jeffrey lost his match. So Jeffrey going down to 2-1 and Emmett at 3-0 right now. So we're just waiting on one match between Braden and Nick. Corum's a cool card. I mean, I'm trying my best not to rant about Commander on stream because I'll end up like a lunatic because boy do I have words. But Commander is a lot of fun when they print cards that are not too powerful but unique and fun and do a weird specific thing. And I think that Modern Horizons did a pretty good job at making a lot of those cards. But I'm also very biased because Bloodbraid Challenger is like maybe the coolest card printed in the past ever. Wish I could cast that one in Modern. So we got quite a few of the folks right now, the regional championship. They're probably in Calgary now, if I had to guess. Probably doing some testing, a little testing house. I think we got some Blink players, some Affinity players perhaps down there. Hoping they do pretty well over the weekend. I know they've been doing a little practicing and doing a little deck list tweaking over the past few weeks. I think they've settled upon things they're happy with. I suspect, if I had to guess, that the regional championship will look like a lot of Blink. A lot of Blink, probably a lot of Belcher, if I had to guess. I think some people think that deck is going to fall off a little bit with the Blink list going higher up on Consign of Memories, but I don't think that deck cares that much, and you get to just work for it anyways. But Blink has a clock. I mean, Felly has quite the clock sometimes against decks, but it's no prowess, and I think Belcher can usually just take enough time to play around the Felly and end up with the activation before it matters. Ho, ho, ho. We got spoilers for the new Riftbound champions. Riftbound Legends. Rumble and Ezreal. Exciting. Let's check our time in the round. We got 8 minutes left in the round. Still waiting on one match to finish out. Good day, Game Hub. Good day, Peaks. How are you? What is this little symbol beside your name? Stream for Humanity 2. I clearly don't use Twitch enough. I can hear about people in the main room waiting for the matches to be over, talking about League of Legends right now. I'm very excited to play Standard tomorrow. I've got a weird little 5-color allies list that I'm excited to try out. Very reminiscent of Old Modern Humans, which is a deck that I miss every day. All I want to do in Modern is put, Meddling Mage on the stack, put Kitesail Freebooter onto the stack, and then follow it up with a Viled and Meddling Mage. That's peak Magic for me. I mean, shout out Chris Kapika. Mantis Rider. I think we've surpassed Mantis Rider in Modern these days, but may it rest in peace. Still waiting on one round to complete here. I'll go take a look at Goldfish right now. So Modern, the number one percentage in the meta right now in Modern is Jeskai Blink, which they have labeled as Jeskai Generic Blink. Fantastic name. Reminiscent of Generic Ragavan as a decklist name. Followed by Prowess, Boros, Affinity, Domain, Amulet, Goryo's, Ruby, Esper, and Eldrazi Tron, with Belcher following close by that. There's a recent 5-0 Eldrazi ramp list in Simic. Oh, playing Icedale Explorer. Standard banger. I do suspect the RC will also have a lot of Amulet, which is, my personal pushing a boulder up a hill situation. But people are big fans of Amulet of Vigor and a big fan of untapping their Simic Growth Chamber. Unfortunately, that's about the last thing I ever want to do in the universe, but the deck is very strong right now, so I suspect there'll be a fair amount of that at the RC. Let me tell you about Simic Growth Chamber, though. As much as I do hate that deck, it makes my Stone Rains pretty good. Stone Rain enjoyers be eating good. Boom Bust enjoyers be eating good. I'm surprised we didn't have the return of Carson this week. I know he was talking about it. A fellow Boom Bust enjoyer, perhaps. All right, looks like round 4 is coming up. Final round pairings are up. Table 1 we've got Emmett versus, it is Emmett versus Jeffrey. So no 3-0 competitor for Emmett, our Pokemon professor. So we got the pair up from Jeffrey. So this is going to be Mono Black mid-range, Mono Black Saga versus Mill. This will be an interesting one. Oh, gotta use the Yu-Gi-Oh mat, says Emmett. All right. All right, final round about to be underway. So we got Emmett on the right, playing Mill. Took it last match on the screen. We got Jeffrey on the left, who is playing Mono Black, a little bit of Nethergoyf, a little bit of Urza Saga, some Fatal Pushes, some Bowmasters, a lot of cards that aren't really relevant in this matchup. I suspect Bowmasters aren't going to do too much. I suspect Fatal Pushes it's going to do a little bit. I mean, killing crabs is relevant, and I think it's pretty important in this matchup, but it's not exactly a matchup where Fatal Push is your best card. I think it's mostly just going to be about having a clocking as fast as you can. I mean, Nethergoyf is going to be pretty huge. But I also I think it's going to be tough for Jeffrey's deck to kind of interact with this game plan much, and I don't think there's much of a strategy against Mill. I think you just got to kind of play as fast as you can. our players here discussing upcoming Proxy Legacy next weekend, which both players will be at. I hope. I know Jeffrey will, but I'm thinking of you in it. You better be there. Now, of course, they're talking about Cube. I've heard a resident member of our community has a vintage Cube. Might be playing this weekend. I don't know who it is. Some person. Probably very cool. Probably Jeff Goldblum-esque. I realistically think the game plan here for Jeffrey, he's got to resolve an early Nethergoyf, which is, God forbid, Drown Lock, clearing that out, is going to be pretty huge. I mean, Archive Trap, Nethergoyf's best friend. Jeffrey's on the play. Yeah, I think that's kind of big in this matchup. Jeffrey consulting the hand here. I see a lot of land. This is like Swamp, Urza Saga. Maybe a Fatal Push, a Shieldred by the looks of it. Oh, and a Stalactite Stalker. We're not playing the Stalker. Holding up a Fatal Push for the Crab. I'm not sure what I would... That's what I would do here. I mean, even if he's got a Crab on one, you can just play the Stalker on tap, Fatal Push, and get in there, but... It looks like he was holding up and push. I don't think that's the play. I look forward to Jeffrey watching this back and then hearing me critique him on that. Deserved. I think you almost just always play the Stalactite Stalker here on one. I mean, it's not like the mill player can go Crab and landfall the same turn, so you're not too worried about that. So Nethergoyf. I think he just jams here. I think you just go Nethergoyf straight into the Stalactite Stalker. I think your clock just needs to be as fast as possible. Does he have a Pithy Needle in hand? Saga, he's got the Pithy Needle in hand. There's not a lot of super relevant names. You could name like a Fetch. You could name a Boro. See, okay. So, well, this isn't going to work out well at once. Yeah, okay. That's not how you do that. So, puts a Fatal Push in the stack targeting the Ruin Crab here, which isn't going to work out the way that Jeffrey wants, because you're supposed to wait for him to activate the fetch and then Fatal Push in response, so he doesn't get the second landfall. But we're getting the full 6 going in here. Maybe this was mind games. Jeffrey wants the full mill for this Nethergoyf. Ooh. Unflipped MDFC in the bin. Just asking for the GRV over here. So artifact, land, creature, instant... in the bin at least. I'm not sure what else is in there. So artifact, land, sorcery, creature, instant. So we got 5, 6 Nethergoyf on turn 3. Pretty good. So this is quite the clock. I think the perfect thing would just be play... Ooh, actually playing the Saga is not bad. So you can play Saga, Pithy Needle, if he wants to. In the blind, I think you maybe just name Pluto Delta. Yeah, exactly. Now he's got the Fatal Push up for a Crab. Oh, he's got the Force of Despair in the main deck. Force of Despair main deck is, like, you gotta main it for that one. You gotta, like, somebody has to have hurt you for that to happen, but... Oh, no. Played around the Pithy Needle on Pluto Delta. Flooded Strand for turn. Jeffrey untaps and draws. Still got the Stalactite Stalker in hand. We got the Saga on the battlefield. Playing land. I still don't know what the last card in his hand is. I thought it might have been Shieldred. Pixacat. So Adrenaline Lock on the stack targeting the Nethergoyf. Not much you can do about that. At least you can escape the Nethergoyf, but it's going to shrink it by quite a bit if he does. But it looks like we're just going to... Oh! The second Nethergoyf is huge. I wonder if maybe Jeffrey should have just escaped the second Nethergoyf following here. It shrinks both of them, but they're going to get so big in the future from all these milling anyways. All this milling. But I think he's holding up the Saga activation, which is fine too. I don't think we've milled over any of the Saga targets yet, so we've still got, I mean, I guess a bauble, but that barely counts. We've still got a Shadow Spear on the list. We've got a Vexing Bauble if it was main board. Field of Ruin. It's pretty good against the Saga. Emmett's got, what has he got in hand? Emmett's got a Watery Grave, a Glimpse the Unthinkable, a Fractured Sanity. All right, so we're making a construct. Field of Ruin in response. So Urza Saga's going, we're going to go fetch a swamp. I don't think I saw an Archive Trap in Emmett's hand. So we're both going to get basic lands here. So we're going to go with the basic swamp here. Emmett notes because it's the basic that he can't search off of his non-Pluto Delta fetches, of course, because Pluto Delta is currently under Pithy Needle. This Nethergoyf is huge. This thing is a 6/7. And it's at 13. This is a very fast clock. This construct's currently a 2/2 without anything else. We got 8 power on the board. Stalactite Stalker in hand. So a Stalactite Stalker in hand, Force of Despair, and maybe a Swamp. I think you attack, and I think you escape the Nethergoyf here. If you attack and escape, you are presenting lethal on board next turn if Emmett mills you at all. I guess you've lethal here no matter what, but I think you still would want to escape. I think just maximizing threats here is really important. Emmett could just untap and have 2 removal here. Okay, so Fracture Sanity cycled. So Emmett's going to draw a card, and Jeffrey's going to mill 4 cards. Bowmaster's in response to the Fractured Sanity is pretty good, and we'll go to 3 from the Bowmasters. Okay, so this makes sense. This is completely fine then. Jeffrey's in a pretty comfortable position. I'm not sure exactly how many cards he has left in the library, but it looks like probably somewhere between the number of 56 to 610. No new types in the bin by the looks of it. I think he's sitting pretty. Looks like Emmett might just fire off this Tasha's. I don't think Tasha's is going to get the 35 cards or whatever remaining in the library, but we're gonna do our best. Here we go. So we got 0, 1, 2, still 2, still 2, 3, 5, still 5. Oh my lord, still 5, 6, 10, 14. Yeah, the shoulders are going to make it tough. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. What a card, 20. All right, we're getting a card in the library count here from Emmett. What a card Tasha's is. This looks like something like maybe 8 cards. Oh, more than I thought. 14 cards in the library. That's 1 Archive Trap. I don't think Emmett has one in hand, unfortunately. We've got a Polluted Delta. We've got a Drown of the... Oh, okay. Well, we fetched Shock for the lethal on self. Emmett unfortunately couldn't get those last 14 cards out of the way, so we're going to move to game 2 here. Jeffrey have a game on Mono Black. I don't know what to call this deck. Mono Black Descend. Mono Black Nethergoyfs. Mono Black. I'm going to call it Mono Black Abzan. That seems genuine. Or Mono Black Junk, as you would have heard back in the time. Jeffrey, thinking what he wants to bring in here. I see Damping Spheres he's looking at. I don't think that's what you're looking for here. I think you want to get these Force of Despairs out of your deck. I'm not sure what the first card in the sideboard is here. It looks like Demonic Consultation. I sincerely hope it's not, because that doesn't work and that's not legal. But I think your biggest priority in this match is just kind of getting these really, really poor cards out of your list, but also there's the consideration to just keep, 60/plus in your deck because of a little bit of buffer against mill. Emmett is a man on a mission. He knows exactly what cards he wants to bring in. Didn't get a look at them, but... So we got some Visions of Beyond. Visions from Beyond. Visions of Beyond. Oh, no, we're cutting those. Okay, we're bringing an Ensnaring Bridge from Emmett. Makes sense. Ensnaring Bridge is quite good against Nethergoyf. And I don't imagine Mono Black Abzan here has a lot of ways to take a Ensnaring Bridge off the board. Yeah, there's no shot Jeffrey's cutting these Stalactite Stalkers. He's cutting a lot of cards that aren't Force of Despair. So I think you could bring these Disruptor Flutes, even just to name Pluto Delta or Bora or whatever, but I think it's honestly just not the worst idea to name things like, Archive Trap. I don't know what he just brought in. It almost looked like the Damnation. I really hope it wasn't the Damnation. I don't think Damnation plays very well in this matchup. We did bring in the Damnation. Huh. Crab hater. I don't think Damnation is really the play here. I mean, having to kill your own creature to kill the crabs. The crabs are really important to get rid of. I just don't think that spending your turn to, clean up 2 crabs on turn 4 is going to be anything good for your clock. If you were interested in that, I'd be more into like the Engineered Explosives. At least Engineered Explosives, you have a little bit more control over, and actually hits things that aren't just that. And also is interesting against Engineered Explosives. Interesting against Ensnaring Bridge. Although I don't think Jeffrey has a way to get additional colors for that. He might. He might have like a Surveil land or something in the list. Jeffrey asks, Yorion is not legal in this format, is it? Unfortunately, it's not. The cowards at the ban list committee. I think they're currently discussing how many cards I was playing in Battle of Wits when I played it a few weeks back. The answer is 267, I think, was the final list. See a lot of lands in this hand. This looks like land, fetch, fetch. Land, fetch, fetch, swamp, Urborg. This is a lot of lands in hand. Emmett's got some Drowned Lock, some lands. Force of Despair was... Oh, okay, he's mulliganing. Okay, thank God. Thank God this was sarcastic. I look forward to roasting Jeffrey about these Force of Despairs in the list after this. Just no shot those should have stayed in. I mean, like, I don't despise the idea of having to Force of Despair like a crab on turn 1. And you'll feel pretty good about that, but I have to imagine you have better cards in the matchup than that. Jeffrey says, I'm in pain after drawing that Damnation off the top. Yeah. I mean, punished for your sins, right? Why not? Yeah. After all, why shouldn't you? Yeah, Damnation on the bottom. I do enjoy sideboarding in a card and then putting it at the bottom immediately. It was the correct choice, though. All right, Surveil on top, pass. So we got Urborg, we got a Shieldred, we got a few other lands, I believe. Urborg into what I would imagine to be a Thoughtseize. I mean, these Thoughtseizes are what you want, so always happy having these Thoughtseizes. He's going to Thoughtseize Emmett. Depending on what the rest of his hand looks like, he's going to probably take a crab. Drowned Lock. Oh boy. Emmett's hand is Undercity Sewers, Oboro, Palace of the Clouds. Sorry, not Oboro. Otawara, Saurian City. Surgical Extraction, 2 Drowned Locks, and an Ensnaring Bridge. I think you have to take the Ensnaring Bridge. I don't think Jeffrey has a single way to get rid of this card. And I also think Jeffrey basically can't beat this card. I think Ensnaring Bridge is basically the only thing to take here. Ooh. Took the Drown in the Loch. I don't think that's especially correct. He could be hoping that this other Thoughtseize that's in the hand gets there. Oh, okay. Okay. So we're going to Surgical the Drown in the Loch, knowing that Emmett has 2 in hand. So we're going to get the other one out of the hand. This does make sense. So if he follows up with the Thoughtseize next turn, he can take the Ensnaring Bridge. He's feeling pretty good about that. So you got me there, Jeffrey. That's pretty good. This is still pretty risky around like certain other things that you could have. I don't know exactly what is in Emmett's list. I don't know if he plays any copies of something like just Counterspell, or if he, you know, Jeffrey could kind of get a little slapped around here by a Surgical on Thoughtseize. Oh, wait, I'm a little confused here. So we Surgicaled Drown in the Loch? Oh, he took the Surgical. Oh, my apologies. Okay, I'm caught up here. So Emmett Surgicaled his Drown in the Loch in response to remove the target from Jeffrey's Surgical so that he can keep the Surgical in hand. This makes sense. So I think he needs to cast. You need to fire off this Inquisition now to take the Ensnaring Bridge. You got to take the bridge. You can't beat Ensnaring Bridge. Takes the Drown in the Loch. I guess he still has the Thoughtseize in hand, but you have to get rid of this bridge before he resolves this bridge. You're not going to beat this thing once it's resolved. Shieldred's not going to be enough. Okay. You better not take that Surgical Extraction, Jeffrey. Okay. Okay. I'm glad he's listening to me, but not listening to me. All right. So bridge is in the bin. Ottawa, Soaring City, Emmett says. Yes. Ottawa on the battlefields. Bloodstained Mire. Jeffrey has a Shieldred in hand, which if Emmett doesn't have kind of anything to counter this Shieldred or any sort of clock, Shieldred is going to get there, especially with no Ensnaring Bridge in play anymore. Yeah, there's the 4th land. I don't think you fetch there. I don't think it's going to be a big difference, but you can just play the land and cast Shieldred. Your Urborg allows you to tap your fetch land, of course, so you don't have to play around Archive Trap. But I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. We're playing the Saga. Saga Trigger resolves, and I think we're just playing this Shieldred. Shieldred the Apocalypse resolves. We have a Shieldred on the board. This is a real clock, for sure. Limit down to 17. Fetch into Fatal Push on the Shieldred. Yep, that's pretty good. That plays. Oh, and then we have Surgical Extraction on Shieldred. Spencer. Happy to see you here, buddy. I'm sad you're not at Modern tonight, but I am happy to have you here in the stream. Hopefully, Spence, I see you at Standard tomorrow. Emmett is commenting on the Force of Despairs in the list right now. All right, it's only 2 Shieldreds in the entire list. They're both exiled now. Jeffrey, I believe, is completely hellbent. No cards in hand, but this Saga is going to put in some work, especially if Emmett's draws are as anemic as they've been so far. Okay, just casting a Fractured Sanity. 14 cards going to the bin for Jeffrey. All right, let's get at her. The interesting part about this is often you're going to miss on some of your Saga targets, especially after this mill. So if he hits like a Shadow Spear, if he hits, you know, a few things like there's a Bobble down, there's the Shadow Spear. Okay, so I don't know what's in his entire list for targets. I imagine he still has a Vexing Bobble. But missing on the Shadow Spear is, I think, going to be somewhat relevant because Shadow Spear is at least like a pretty relevant addition to the clock with the Saga targets. Passing back to Jeffrey here. Saga up to 2. Nethergoyf drawn. I think that's pretty good here. I think we just jam that Nethergoyf. If I had to guess the math on the Nethergoyf right now, I'm sure it's probably like a 25, 26 or something, a 510, 502, 502, 503. Okay, so we have land for sure, we have artifact, we have instant, we have creature. We have sorceries. I think it's a 5/6. All right, so Nethergoyf's a 5/6. That is a clock. Emmet is at 15, so that's definitely not something you can have sit around for a while, especially with the constructs. So he's going to end up a construct. He's going to get a 1/1, then he's going to get a 2/2, and then he's going to get a artifact if he still has them at the time to make them 3/3s. So he'll be attacking for 8 next turn, and then attacking for lethal the next turn. It's not the worst clock. Oh, the escape Nethergoyf. I didn't even notice the one in there. So if he can keep, he has to be off of a construct for doing this, but if he can keep these at 5, this is still going to be quite a lot of pressure. Okay, so we got 2 Nethergoyfs. I believe there's still 5/6s. Waiting to get in there. Staring down a very hellbent Emmet, who I'm pretty confident just drew a fetch land. I don't think he's going to play it, but I'm at least 90% sure there was a Pluto Delta he just drew. Draw for turn on Jeffrey. We got a Saga trigger on the stack. Does he want to make a construct? I think you do. I can't really imagine anything you would have drawn that requires him to have all his mana here. Oh, okay, he's floating. What are we thinking? All right, we're searching. If I had to guess what's remaining in the deck, we got Mishra's Bauble, we got Vexing Bauble, and that's probably it. Might have the Pithy Needle. Vexing Bauble is the choice. Emmet elects not to cut. A bunch of friendly folks here. A lot of clean play down here. Very happy with our community in that way. Okay, Inquisition of Kozilek targeting Emmet, revealing what I in fact thought was in his hand, which is a Pluto Delta. Oh my god. Oh boy. Mr. Never Didn't Have It, Professor Kolcheski. Judy McPeel over here. Sorry, Judy. Allie McPeel over here. The Snaring Bridge off the top is going to be tough. Emmet's got a lot of time to burn now. I don't know if Jeffrey has anything he can do about this main board. Nile Spellbomb. He's got to be just hoping to find, like, the Shieldreds are gone. I don't know what Jeffrey can hope to draw at all. Okay, so... Okay, so we can attack... Oh, this doesn't even work like that. I was saying he could possibly exile his graveyard to get these to 0 and then attack and then pump after the declaration of attack, getting around the Ensnaring Bridge. But unfortunately, the Nile Spellbomb puts itself in the graveyard. Actually, no, that's not even true. Wait. Nile Spellbomb should also be exiled. This isn't really something he can forget. I'm going to remind them of this. All right, board state rectified. I don't think it matters in the long run. I think we graveyard numbers back up, but I believe he did have an attack that turn. I don't think Jeffrey has anything he can do here. I don't know what's in his library, but I can't imagine he has an answer for a Ensnaring Bridge. So Master's down to 4. So, oh my god, Profane Memento. Whenever a creature is milled, Emmett will gain a life. This is going to be really tough for Jeffrey to get through. I think you might just get soloed by this bridge. But, so Stalactite Stalker. Stalactite Stalker. I don't think there's a world, but I wonder if you could attack. I wonder if you could shrink a Nethergoyf. I wonder if you could shrink a Nethergoyf or something down low enough that it could attack with Stalker and still live, and then pump it post. That's a really ambitious thing to do, though, so I'm not sure if that's going to work out. No life off of the Profane Memento. No creatures milled. Still have a Ruined Crab holding up fort here, too. Cling to Dust, I believe, was the draw. It's not spectacular. Cling to Dust does kind of help you with your Nethergoyf situation. Actually, not really, because it replaces itself, unfortunately, but Jeffrey commenting how Sign in Blood would be fantastic here. So yeah, Sign in Blood would kill Emmett here. There is no Sign in Blood in hand currently. I actually don't know if Jeffrey is playing Sign in Blood, because I do know that he picked up a beautiful Magic Player Rewards playset recently, so no, he didn't just draw the Sign in Blood. Oh, he's clicking. Okay, well, redraws. All right, Cling to Dust into Cling to Dust. I think he found a land off it. Jeffrey, I think has no outs. Yeah, is he picking it up? Jeffrey says, "Let me make sure I have no outs." Checks library and says, "I have no outs." Looks like we're moving to game 3. So I think Jeffrey needs to. Yeah, Jeffrey says, I need to take some cards out here. I don't think Jeffrey has a single thing in the 75. Yeah, that's got to go. That's got to go. I don't mind this. I don't mind the Ashiar. It's not horrible. It's not great, but I respect the damnation on the battlefield shown there. Yeah, live up to your sins. Own up to them. I'd have to see a 75, but I don't think he has a single answer for Ensnaring Bridge, something that can actually take it off the battlefield. So he just has to work around it with Thoughtseize, work around it with Surgical. Shieldred's kind of the only thing that gets there once Bridge is out. Ensnaring Bridge is a hell of a card against the matchups you care about it in. Thank God the stream audio isn't on for you folks in Twitch chat, because Emmett is just roasting me right now. After I said that he was such a lovely human. Ensnaring Bridge is a crazy card. I mean, it's one of those cards where against the matchups you bring it in against, sometimes they just lose almost immediately. It's a bit of a null rod situation against some of the decks that struggle against cards like that. Auriok Champion, often in some older lists. Back in the day of playing Heliod, being able to play Auriok Champion against Goblins. I hate to beat up a Goblins player, because those are the heroes, but... Oh, we're talking Surgical. Surgical is very strong, yeah. Surgical Extraction is the MacGyver version of Cataxian Probe, in fact. Just gotta clear the way, find out, and then get them. It's leading on Urborg. Blue Delta Pass, got a Bloodstained Mire. He really has to stop fetching. Remember, he can just tap this. You can just tap this Bloodstained Mire for black mana. I think you basically take every opportunity you can to play around Archive Trap. Fatal Push, Fellow Profane, and some lands in hand for Jeffrey. Nothing super exciting. Field of Ruin Profane Memento, which I meant called a Jeffrey card, in which Jeffrey responded saying, correct, it has a sick-ass skull on it. Jeffrey's got a Shadow Spear here. Yeah, what a bone nerd. Vance, I'd like for you to look up a card that I've added into Cube recently. Speaking of alchemy things I've added into Cube, I'd like for you to look up the card Welcome the Darkness, because that card is incredibly sick, and I'm excited to play with it. So we get the Saga here to at least... Yeah. What if instead of tutoring the Saga targets, you just draw them? Spellbomb and Shadow Spear on the battlefield. We got a Saga Construct coming up, which is going to be a 3/3, going to a 4/4, assumably going to a 5/5, which is quite big. Why is it alchemy exclusive? Yeah, I'm not too sure. It functions perfectly fine in Magic. Three cards going to the bin from the crap here. We got Pithy Needle, we got Inquisition, and we got Cling to Dust. Oh, just putting the Cling to Dust into the yard. It's too free. I think you just make a construct here. I don't think you care, like you can kill the, yeah, exactly. You can kill the crab on your turn. You just need a timer. I figure Emmett might have something to deal with the guy here, deal with the fella. Second construct on the way. These constructs are going up to 5/5s here. If we have a target remaining, I'm sure there's a Mishra's Bubble in here still. And a Vexing Bubble, yep. Alright, Vexing Bubble on the battlefield. These are 5/5 constructs right now. If he's got land equipped, this is going to be a 6/6. discussing unbanning Vexing Bauble and Legacy at the table. You know, the seeding song Jessica's Will player in me would agree, but I don't think Vexing Bauble and the One Ring are cards that we need in the format at the same time currently, unfortunately. Shadow Spear going onto the construct. Fatal Push hits the one that's being equipped. Rune Crab on the battlefield. Mill Trigger. Oh, Profane Memento. Coming in clutch. Gain that life, yeah. Field of Rune on the Urborg here. Gotta make him fetch. Bridge on the battlefield. Yeah, this is gonna be tough. Jeffrey still has Shieldreds in the list, so that's something at least to get through this. So Fatal Push on the Crab. Yeah, Crab down. Nethergoyf. It doesn't really get through the bridge. Okay, so Strand. Toxic Deluge. Toxic Deluge for 0. Just to clear cards out of hand. What a heads up play. Clink to Dust on the stack. Hedron Crab getting out of there. Gain some life? Alright. Nethergoyf is coming in for 1. Emmett's still got a card in hand. We got 16 more of those. I mean, if Emmett just keeps drawing lands, and Jeffrey's feeling pretty good about attacking. Emmett's 3-0. These are only 3-0. General Lock killing the Nethergoyf? Yeah. Saga's up to 2. Very polite of Emmett to remind Jeffrey. I'm being roasted for my magic spending by these players. Perhaps have acquired some expensive Urza Sagas from somebody. Activating Bauble, drawing a card. This construct's still a 2/2. Emmett's got no cards in hand. Yeah, he's hellbent right now. He's got to find Shieldred, I think. Crab, followed by the Orboro. It's looking tough. Full the Rune to the yard, Bloodstained Mire to the yard, Thoughtseize to the yard. If he loses Shieldred to a Surgical at some point here, if we get a Shieldred in the yard, I think it's gonna be kind of game over here. Jeffrey's still fighting. I mean, if you can find a Shieldred before Emmett has anything you can do about it, it's gonna drain him out. But getting a Shieldred on the battlefield and then having to, drain away on Jeffrey for 9 turns is quite the ask. Without Emmett finding Drowned Lock in between that. Okay. Floating a man with Urza Saga. No cards in hand for Emmett, so he can't currently... Okay, failed to find with a Saga. Great. No attackers currently because of the Ensnaring Bridge. Just soloing Jeffrey. This is Jeffrey's millennia. Jeffrey accidentally pumped the construct. I mean, you can't attack almost no matter what here. Emmett's got to draw like 4. Oh boy. Hardcast, Archive, Trap. How many cards we got left here? This looks like more or less than 13. This looks like less than 13. 11 cards remaining. Doesn't look like Jeffrey holding priority on his own upkeep. Look at that. The 4-0 from Emmett. Mill takes it all the way. The return of the Pokemon gamer to Magic to mill people all the way to a 4-0. Beautiful. Well, Emmett takes it down. Takes the 4-0, I imagine, the event. Look at him go. It looks like the round is done as well. So, Emmett takes it in 3. And yeah, it looks like Emmett's our only 4-0. Makes sense going forward. So Emmett takes the entire event. Mr. Kolcheski with the 4-0 on Mill. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone showing up on our little bit quieter F&M, but return to stream, which will be nice. I'm sure we'll be doing this again next Thursday, with more of the folks back after the regional championship, and myself and probably somebody else able to cast with me. Kill my dead space that I have. But I appreciate you all being here nonetheless. Got a few events coming up, which I reminded about earlier. So we got Riftbound this Saturday. We've got Standard tomorrow. We got the start of our Sealed League this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock. We got, of course, next Thursday, Modern again. We got Proxy Legacy the Saturday after that, so the 29th at 2 p.m. And yeah, thanks for joining us.